Dark clouds and raging storms cover the sky as flocks of crows swarm over rotting corpses, pecking at the wriggling maggots and turning the entire city into a living apocalypse. The deafening roars of countless monsters echo from every direction, creating a terrifying atmosphere. Heavy rain pours down as violent coughing and splashes of blood stain the cold ground, making the scene even more hopeless. His trembling hand still grips the sword, but his strength is almost gone. Zhongming clutches his bleeding stomach, grits his teeth through the pain, and realizes the traitor he trusted has led him into a deadly trap. As the monster horde closes in, Zhongming can no longer fight back and can only watch death approach. He never imagined his end would come, because of the people who once fought beside him. Zhongming bitterly wonders if he ever truly belonged in this apocalyptic world. He once believed in the future, so how did everything end like this? 10 years earlier, the world changed overnight as most of humanity became twisted, bloodthirsty creatures. At the same time, countless mysterious roulette wheels descended from the sky across the world. After killing monsters, survivors discovered that magic crystals from zombie heads could be exchanged for all kinds of rewards through the roulette wheels. Everything from daily supplies and advanced weapons to potions that awakened special powers could be obtained. Driven by those incredible rewards, people fought not only monsters but each other, turning the world into a battlefield of blood and betrayal. Everyone found their own path to survive, while Zhongming could only obey stronger people to stay alive. Even against his will, he buried the principles he once believed in, just to survive. After 10 years of fighting beside his team through endless bloody battles, Zhongming finally earned a solid place among them. He trusted many teammates like family and believed hard work would eventually bring a better future. But that hope shattered when the person he trusted most pushed him into the abyss. The price of trust was simply too high. After the betrayal, Zhongming suffered a fatal blow before the monsters finished him off, ending his life in vain. His consciousness slowly faded into darkness, filled with endless regret. He believed his journey had finally ended. Then the impossible happened, as Zhongming opened his eyes and found himself back in the past. Lying on his bed, he turned his head and froze when he saw Bai Shishi beside him. He could not believe his eyes, because she had died long ago in his memories. Looking around the familiar room, Zhongming realized he was back in the home he lived in before the apocalypse. He grabbed his head in confusion. Just moments ago, he had been murdered, yet now he was truly alive again. To make sure this was not an illusion, Zhongming immediately looked at the digital calendar on the table. The date read September 10th, 2022, the very day the global catastrophe began. Remembering the nightmare that was about to happen again, cold sweat covered his body as he feared reliving that hell. Horrifying images of the undead keep flashing through his mind, leaving him unable to stay calm. But then, Zhongming suddenly realizes something is completely different this time. With 10 years of survival experience and an unbreakable will, he decides to use this rare chance to rewrite his fate. Everything he learned over the past decade is now his greatest advantage. This time he will survive no matter the cost. Zhongming jumps out of bed, quickly gets dressed, and prepares to move just as Bai Shishi wakes up. Still half asleep, Bai Shishi rubs her eyes, acts cute, and asks why Zhongming is leaving so early. Ignoring her repeated calls, Zhongming opens a drawer and takes out the only precious keepsake his parents left behind. It is a bank card. He knows every dollar must be spent now because money will become worthless once the apocalypse begins. Seeing him completely ignore her, Bai Shishi angrily demands to know where he is going. After stuffing his bag with supplies, Zhongming gives only one name, Qin Jun. He then coldly exposes her secret affair with him and says all her kindness was nothing but an act. Bai Shishi turns pale, but still denies everything, repeatedly asking what nonsense he is talking about. Seeing her flustered face, Zhongming remembers how he risked everything to protect this woman during the early days of the apocalypse. In return, she abandoned him without hesitation and chose the wealthy Qin Jun instead. She keeps denying everything, crying and blaming Zhongming while mocking him for being jealous of Qin Jun. He calmly cuts her off and leaves one final warning that Qin Jun is not someone worth trusting with her life. He almost tells her that Qin Jun will one day use her as nothing more than a few cans of food, but he holds those words back. Zhongming knows she would never believe him now, so the warning is all he leaves behind. Without looking back, he walks away because time is running out. Behind him, Bai Shishi shouts that she was the one who wanted to break up first to save what little pride she has left. With 10 years of survival memories, Zhongming already has a detailed plan. His top priority is gathering equipment and medicine. Not long after leaving home, he quickly flags down a passing taxi. As soon as he gets us in, Zhongming hands the driver a large tip and tells him to race to the nearest hospital as fast as possible. Seeing the generous bonus, the driver grins and tells him to buckle up before flooring the accelerator. Just minutes later, the taxi arrives at the hospital, exactly as requested. He quickly collects every kind of medicine and medical supply he needs, carefully packing everything into his backpack for the coming apocalypse. At that moment, a nurse walks in, shocked to see him taking so many supplies, and hesitantly asks who he is. Hugging his backpack, Zhongming heads for the exit, while the nurse chases after him, shouting that someone is stealing medicine. He simply says the payment is on the shelf and reminds her these medicines will soon become more valuable than anyone can imagine. After leaving the hospital, his next stop is an outdoor and survival equipment store. As Zhongming finishes checking the quality of the ropes, the owner brings over everything he ordered and asks whether he will pay with cash or card. While handing over his bank card, Zhongming suddenly notices another item displayed on the shelf. It is an expensive mountain-cleaving saber. The moment he sees it, he remembers it was his trusted weapon in his previous life, and its quality never let him down. After paying, Zhongming leaves with his supplies, satisfied that he has secured the essentials. Meanwhile, the shop owner happily raises the price of the mountain-cleaving saber several times over, completely unaware that the apocalypse is about to begin. Back in the taxi, Zhongming pays another generous bonus and orders the driver to reach Dingsheng Villa District within 5 minutes. Tempted by the extra money, the driver immediately speeds up, telling Zhongming to hold on tight before pushing the car to its limit. The taxi tears down the road at a terrifying speed, leaving everyone around them shocked and shouting in anger. Sitting quietly inside, Zhongming reviews his entire plan. Everything is ready. Now all that remains is waiting for the roulette wheel to appear. His mind is completely focused. The roulette wheel, also known as the exchange wheel, is the source of every resource in the apocalypse. Food, water, equipment, and even supernatural abilities all come from it, and he is determined to seize the very first opportunity. The taxi soon stops at the destination. Based on his previous life, the first roulette wheel is most likely to appear here. As soon as he gets out, a security guard blocks his way because taxis are not allowed inside the villa district. Zhongming coldly tells the driver to crash straight through the gate and says he will take full responsibility. Hearing that, the driver no longer hesitates. The taxi smashes through the barrier and charges inside, leaving the furious security guards yelling behind them. A crimson sunset spreads across the sky as the security team's radios constantly broadcast emergency alerts about the taxi that forced its way into the neighborhood. After driving a little farther, Zhongming tells the driver to stop and advises him to leave through quiet roads to avoid trouble. Stepping out of the taxi, he silently scans the area with a serious expression, waiting for the crucial moment to arrive. Before long, the security guards catch up, shouting insults and demanding to arrest him for destroying the gate and trespassing into the villa district. No matter how loudly they yell, Zhongming remains completely calm, making them even more furious. He quietly raises one hand, points into the distance, and calmly tells them to look over there. In the next instant, a massive fortress suddenly materializes out of thin air, surrounded by countless flashes of eerie purple lightning. The impossible sight leaves the security guard frozen in fear, while Zhongming clenches his fists, because he knows the apocalypse has truly begun. Looking at the familiar scene from 10 years ago, Zhongming is filled with anger and confusion. He still has no idea who created the roulette wheels or why humanity was forced into this brutal survival game. Zhongming stares at the fortress with unwavering determination. If every tragedy must happen again, then this time he will change the ending. His anger quickly turns into ironclad resolve. Zhongming swears that in this life, he will seize every opportunity to become strong enough to avoid repeating his past tragedy. At this critical moment, his greatest advantage is the knowledge of the roulette wheels that no one else possesses. His will to survive burns stronger than ever, driving him to make the most of this second chance. Suddenly, the entire fortress shakes violently as massive metal structures reshape themselves and merge into a gigantic warship glowing with brilliant golden light. The warship slowly powers up and rises into the sky. Its overwhelming thrust shakes the earth and sends clouds of dust into the air. The two security guards have no idea what is happening. They excitedly pull out their phones, thinking it is just a movie being filmed. Zhongming, however, grows tense. Even he did not expect the warship to activate so quickly. Ignoring the guards behind him, he immediately sprints toward his planned destination before the bombardment begins. Zhongming pushes himself harder with every step. He knows the warship's attack will last exactly 5 minutes, and every second counts. The moment he reaches the exact location, he stops in front of his target. Standing before a house, Zhongming takes a deep breath. In just a few minutes, this place will become part of the apocalypse. Without hesitation, he rushes to the front door and repeatedly rings the bell. A young woman calls out from inside, asking who is there. To avoid suspicion, Zhongming claims he is making a delivery while secretly believing the first roulette wheel will appear here after the bombardment ends. Instead of opening the door herself, the homeowner unlocks the front gate with a remote control. As soon as the gate opens, Zhongming steps inside and quickly surveys the entire house. He carefully walks into the spacious living room, but still cannot find the owner. Suddenly, the young woman's voice returns, now filled with suspicion as she declares he is definitely not a delivery man. The woman is Mo Xingfei. She stares coldly at Zhongming and demands to know who he really is. She orders him to leave immediately, or she will call the police. Zhongming calmly observes her and realizes Mo Xingfei is just an ordinary woman with almost no ability to defend herself. Just as she finishes speaking, a blast from the warship strikes the hallway outside, startling her as she asks what he is trying to do. Zhongming frowns and looks toward the doorway. He knows the bombardment that marks the beginning of the apocalypse has officially started. From the warship overhead, countless giant capsule-like objects rain down across the world. The massive warship glides through the sky, endlessly dropping those strange objects and ushering in a new age of chaos. The capsules plunge toward the ground at incredible speed, and their impact grows more terrifying with every second. The moment they hit the ground, they explode like bombs, sending nearby civilians into complete panic. As everyone else runs for safety, one curious man stays behind, completely unaware of the danger. He slowly walks toward one of the freshly fallen capsules. Just a few steps away, the capsule suddenly opens and releases a cloud of strange toxic gas. The gas quickly engulfs the man, making his body convulse as he screams in agony. A passerby rushes over and asks if he is all right, but the man has already begun turning into a zombie, with horrifying slime pouring from his mouth. When he turns around, with his body completely twisted, the kind stranger finally realizes he is facing a monster. From Mo Xingfei's apartment balcony, Zhongming watches the entire chaotic scene unfold below, as cries for help and terrified screams fill the streets. Mo Xingfei nervously looks outside, unable to understand why so many desperate screams are coming from below, and her unease keeps growing. Still unaware that the outside world has become hell, she picks up her phone and warns Zhongming that she will call security if he refuses to leave. Zhongming ignores her warning completely. At that moment, a strange glow appears in the kitchen, instantly catching his attention. It has finally appeared. Without wasting a second, he rushes toward the kitchen at full speed, with Xingfei hurrying after him in confusion. Before she can scold him again, the sight before her leaves her speechless. Right in the middle of the kitchen, the first roulette wheel appears exactly as Zhongming remembered. Xingfei stands frozen for a few seconds before nervously asking what that bizarre object is. Zhongming walks over and places his hand on the roulette wheel, confirming everything is unfolding exactly as it did in his previous life. He quickly examines the gray crystal at its center and confirms that it is a level 1 roulette wheel, the lowest tier in the system. Regaining her composure, Xingfei curiously asks if he came here just for this thing and wonders why it appeared inside her house. Zhongming's full attention is fixed on the rewards displayed on the roulette wheel. The moment he spots a strength enhancement potion, his eyes light up. It is one of the most valuable rewards from a level 1 roulette wheel, greatly boosting physical strength and endurance. He runs his hand across the crystal slots on the roulette wheel, before suddenly stopping, after noticing there are more than usual. Zhongming immediately realizes something is different. This roulette wheel requires 7 level 1 crystals to activate, 2 more than a normal one. He studies it even more carefully, convinced such a special roulette wheel must hide even greater rewards. Meanwhile, Xingfei keeps asking what it really is. The roulette wheel displays a wide variety of items, each with its own unique effect. Among them, Zhongming immediately notices a lucky card and cannot hide his excitement after recognizing its value. Even more confused, Xingfei taps him on the shoulder and keeps demanding to know what the roulette wheel does and what the lucky card actually is. Zhongming patiently explains that the card can grant special abilities to its user. At the same time, he quietly evaluates Xingfei. She is not mutated yet, proving she has excellent resistance to the toxin and could become a valuable teammate in the future. He explains that a lucky card can sharpen the senses, improve physical abilities, and may even grant a companion spirit beast. Xingfei only smirks, convinced he is talking about something straight out of a video game. Faced with her disbelief, Zhongming calmly tells her to listen carefully. He points out that the screaming outside has suddenly stopped. Only then does Xingfei notice the eerie silence. Still unaware of the danger, she decides to check outside. Zhongming can only watch helplessly because he knows she is walking straight toward death. Ignoring his warning, Xingfei throws the door open and even complains about the neighborhood's terrible security. The instant the door opens, a monster lunges straight at her face, leaving her frozen in terror. Sweat pours down her body as she stands completely paralyzed before letting out a desperate scream. The monster tackles Mo Xingfei and slams her onto the floor, leaving her in too much pain to react. It lets out a savage roar and opens its blood-soaked jaws, ready to tear into its prey. In a desperate struggle, Xingfei uses both hands to hold back the monster's neck. Its foul saliva drips onto her as she breaks down in tears and cries for help. But her strength quickly fades, and her trembling arms can no longer hold it back. The monster roars fiercely and violently throws Xingfei aside. At the most critical moment, Zhongming's blade slices through the air and splits the monster's head in half with a single strike. Xingfei looks up at the man who saved her. In Zhongming's hand is the mountain-cleaving saber he bought earlier. She gasps for breath, her chest rising and falling as the shock pushes her far beyond her limits. Zhongming calmly walks to the corpse and bends down to pick up the monster's head. With practiced precision, he removes the crystal embedded in its forehead. Only now does Xingfei truly believe everything Zhongming told her. The crystal he wanted is exactly the same kind used by the roulette wheel. Before she can recover, two more monsters burst through the front door and charge into the house. Xingfei stumbles backward in fear, overwhelmed as another deadly threat closes in. With a weapon in hand, Zhongming moves with remarkable speed and precision. He steps in front of Xingfei, locking his eyes on the crystals embedded in the foreheads of the two monsters. The two zombies roar at the same time and charge straight at him. Zhongming stays calm, his icy gaze never wavering as they attack. With just two clean strikes, he cuts them both down in an instant. After the fight, Zhongming stands there as if nothing happened. Battles like this have become second nature to him. Xingfei hesitates before quietly calling out to him. She still cannot believe what just happened inside her own home. After calming down a little, Xingfei nervously asks who he really is. Zhongming remains silent, his composure leaving her even more stunned. When he does not answer, she asks again, completely confused. Zhongming slowly sheathes his saber before finally speaking. He introduces himself as Ye Zhongming, helps her to her feet, and asks for her name. The young woman softly replies that she is Mo Xingfei. Hearing that name, Zhongming is visibly shocked. Xingfei quietly thanks him, while a bold thought flashes through Zhongming's mind. Could she really be the famous 9-star powerhouse of the future? Thinking about the Mo Xingfei from 10 years later, he can hardly believe the woman before him is the same person. After everything that happened, Xingfei's attitude changes completely. She respectfully calls him Brother Yi and asks what is really going on. Looking out the window, Zhongming slowly explains that Earth has been attacked by an unknown force. Most of humanity has turned into zombies, while only a small number, like them, have kept their sanity. As he speaks, he picks up a zombie's head and admits that even he does not know who caused this disaster. He continues by saying that those who did not mutate are the lucky survivors. Hearing this, Xingfei quickly asks if the government or the military will come to rescue everyone. Drawing on his past life experience, Zhongming calmly says that only minutes after the disaster began, both the government and the military completely collapsed. His cold eyes turn toward the outside world, which is no longer a human society but a true survival hell. As Zhongming speaks, Xingfei imagines a world ruled by zombies, where the undead roam everywhere and spread endless chaos. The more she hears, the more overwhelmed she becomes. Could a world filled with zombies really exist? Seeing that Xingfei is still struggling to accept reality, Zhongming quietly studies her. Right now she looks like an ordinary woman, but could she truly become the legendary 9-star powerhouse? If so, she must have extraordinary potential, and he also needs a capable partner. After making up his mind, he walks over to the roulette wheel in the kitchen and says, "Let me show you how to survive in this zombie world." The roulette wheel remains inactive. Zhongming points at it and explains that it is an apocalypse roulette wheel, the source of most weapons and supplies. To claim its rewards, every empty slot must first be filled. Listening carefully, Xingfei steps closer and examines the grooves. The The moment she touches one, she realizes it perfectly matches the crystal Zhongming took from the zombie's forehead. Zhongming places the gray crystal into one of the slots and explains that it is a zombie crystal. Filling every slot with these crystals activates the roulette wheel once. Jingfei seriously asks if that means they must kill 7 zombies for every spin. Zhongming replies that the more valuable the rewards, the more crystals they require. She then asks if there are different kinds of roulette wheels with different rewards. Zhongming nods and confirms that the one before them is only a level 1 roulette wheel. After answering all her questions, Zhongming quietly notes how fast Jingfei learns and how sharp her mind is. But then she suddenly asks something that catches him off guard. "Brother Yi, how do you know all these secrets?" Zhongming hesitates because reincarnation is far too difficult to explain. Not wanting to continue that topic, he quickly changes the subject and asks if she wants to see the roulette wheel in action. Overcome with curiosity, Jingfei eagerly nods. Zhongming turns to leave, reminding her to lock every door and never open it for anyone, because he is going out to hunt more zombies for their crystals. Watching him walk away, Jingfei remains astonished. Could killing zombies really be that easy for him? Out on the streets, zombies wander everywhere. Some are still tearing apart human corpses, creating a horrifying scene. Suddenly, a voice breaks the silence, instantly drawing the attention of a zombie feasting on a body. Before it can attack, Zhongming strikes first, with a single clean slash that severs its head. The noise immediately attracts the nearby zombies, and they rush toward him in a frenzy. Zhongming does not back away. Instead, he charges straight into the fight. With a few swift and precise moves, he wipes out the entire group in moments. One zombie after another falls, and none of them can force Zhongming onto the defensive. After clearing the area, he immediately heads off to hunt another group. As he closes the distance, he drives a powerful knee straight into one zombie's grotesque face. He follows by leaping into the air, gripping his saber tightly for the finishing blow. One powerful slash cuts down the last zombie left in the area. After clearing the street, Zhongming uses the tip of his saber to pry the crystals from each zombie's head with practiced ease. One by one, he gathers every zombie crystal from the fallen monsters. Just then, a desperate cry for help suddenly echoes from behind him. "Help me!" A young woman, clutching her wounded stomach, runs in panic while a pack of zombies chases close behind. Her pupils have already turned cloudy gray, and her breathing is fading as she weakly whispers, "Help, please." Before Zhongming can answer, she stumbles backward in terror to avoid the monsters. One glance is enough for Zhongming to understand her condition. He swings his saber again and instantly cuts down a charging zombie. Then, a single precise thrust through another zombie's chest finishes the next one. But the young woman's body suddenly begins convulsing violently. Within seconds, she loses all humanity, transforms into a zombie, and lunges at Zhongming with her jaws wide open. As if expecting this outcome, Zhongming calmly jams another zombie's severed arm into her mouth to stop her attack. Having only just transformed, she is still weak, and a single strike from Zhongming ends her life. A trace of sadness flashes across his eyes, but his resolve never wavers. By now, the sun has nearly disappeared below the horizon, and dusk quickly blankets the world. Carrying the crystals he collected, Zhongming returns to Jingfei. Seeing the haul, she excitedly says, "Brother Yi, you found 11 zombie crystals. With the 3 we already had, we can spin the roulette wheel twice." Zhongming smiles and says that today she will finally see the roulette wheel in action. Jingfei eagerly nods. He carefully places each crystal into the remaining empty slots. Jingfei watches every change with excitement as the crystals disappear and the roulette wheel begins spinning. She can hardly wait to see the reward. It is her first time witnessing something so unbelievable, while Zhongming silently hopes for a healing potion. But luck is not on his side. The pointer stops on canned food instead of the reward he wanted. Moments later, stacks of canned food appear before them. Jingfei excitedly cheers after seeing the roulette wheel create real items, while Zhongming can only force a smile. As he regrets wasting the spin, Jingfei opens the refrigerator to show him that it is already packed with food. She explains that while he was away, she organized everything, and they now have enough supplies to last for quite a while. Jingfei happily says their food stockpile is enough for both of them to survive for a long time. Hearing that only makes Zhongming regret wasting such a valuable spin even more. Having completely lost faith in his own luck, he hands the remaining crystals to Jingfei and laughs helplessly. "You give it a try. I've never been lucky." She looks surprised and asks, "You really want me to spin it?" Smiling, Jingfei happily accepts the crystals from his hand. Zhongming stands beside her, silently watching every movement with complete focus. Deep down, he cannot help wondering what kind of reward someone destined to become a legendary 9-star powerhouse might receive. Xingfei carefully places each crystal into the roulette wheel. As the final crystal clicks into place, both of them hold their breath. The moment every slot is filled, the pointer begins spinning at incredible speed. Zhongming kept his eyes locked on the wheel. Even after everything he had been through, waiting for the first reward still made him nervous. He only hoped Xingfei had better luck than he did. Right then, she suddenly shouted, "Ye Gei, I got this." The moment Zhongming saw the reward, his eyes went wide in shock. The result was far beyond anything he expected. Xingfei tilted her head and asked what it was. After a long pause, Zhongming finally said it was an incredibly rare job card. Zhongming looked at Xingfei very differently now. He never imagined her luck was insane enough to pull such a priceless item. Still confused, Xingfei asked if the card was really that rare. Unable to hide his excitement, Zhongming said it was almost priceless. It might not seem useful now, but later it could remove unwanted rewards when spinning for high-level skills or gear, greatly boosting the chance of getting top treasures. Holding the card, Xingfei laughed and said maybe her luck even worked on the wheel. Zhongming quickly asked if she was always this lucky. Xingfei eagerly shared story after story about her crazy luck. She always won free drinks, hit big prizes from egg draws, pulled the best rewards from mystery boxes, and even won a live cow in a supermarket lottery. The more she talked, the more excited she became. She had been lucky so many times that she could not even remember them all. After hearing everything, Zhongming was speechless. He had never even won a small prize, and every promotion always ended with the same message, "Thanks for participating." While Xingfei was still celebrating her super rare card, Zhongming quietly came up with a new idea. He smiled and joked that from now on, she should handle every spin, while he enjoyed her incredible luck. In the blink of an eye, a new day arrived. Seeing Zhongming getting ready to leave early, Xingfei hurried over and asked where he was going. She followed behind him with a worried look, wondering why he was rushing out to hunt crystals so early. Zhongming stepped outside with a clear goal. He would not come back until he collected at least 100 crystals. Watching his determined back, Xingfei suddenly felt he was someone she could truly trust. With that thought, she turned back inside full of energy. If he was working that hard, she could not just sit around. Xingfei marched into the kitchen and proudly declared that this was her battlefield. Without wasting a second, she lit the stove and started preparing a huge meal to celebrate Zhongming's return. As she cooked, she kept cheering herself on, like she was about to enter a major battle. A while later, Zhongming came back, but instead of looking happy, he simply said he was home. Still wearing her apron, Xingfei rushed over and asked why he returned so early. Zhongming closed his eyes, sighed, and nodded helplessly. After locking the door, said he had one piece of good news and one piece of bad news, then asked which she wanted first. His serious tone left Xingfei both confused and anxious. After thinking for a moment, she decided to hear the good news first. Zhongming slowly explained that the good news was they were now the only normal humans left in the area because he had wiped out every zombie nearby. Xingfei immediately praised him and asked about the bad news. Zhongming sighed and said that because he had cleared every zombie, there were no more crystals left to collect. He then took out all the crystals he had gathered, but the small pile made it clear the trip had fallen far short of his goal. Seeing his disappointment, Xingfei smiled and comforted him. She said the crystals were still enough for a few more spins. Zhongming sighed and said he had searched almost the entire area, but only found this much. Thinking about him hunting zombies everywhere, Xingfei could not help laughing while feeling sorry for him. He suddenly changed the subject and asked if there was anything left to eat because he was getting hungry. Caught off guard, Xingfei awkwardly replied that they still had food. She quickly placed a few dishes on the table, but they looked like a disaster. Embarrassed, Xingfei joked that they were dishes straight from the dark kitchen. She lowered her head and admitted she had never learned how to cook, which was why everything looked so awful. To her surprise, Zhongming did not complain at all. He kept eating and even said the food actually tasted pretty good. Seeing Xingfei still standing there, he smiled and assured her again that the food was fine. Only the presentation needed work. Little by little, Xingfei grew even more fond of Zhongming. She quietly watched him and realized he truly meant it. Zhongming ate without hesitation because he still remembered the last apocalypse, when having anything to eat was a luxury, and there were times he was so hungry, he almost resorted to cannibalism. After finishing the meal, Zhongming looked at the wheel and said it was time for the most important part. Once again, he let Xingfei handle the spin, hoping her incredible luck would work its magic. Sure enough, Her first spin landed on a gun with plenty of ammunition, leaving Zhongming stunned. The next spin gave her a crossbow, making it 2 incredibly useful weapons in a row. Xingfei handed him the last of the crystals and suggested he try a spin himself. Zhongming immediately waved it off because he still did not trust his terrible luck. Suddenly, Xingfei gently took his hand and softly blew into his palm. She smiled warmly and said she was sharing a little of her luck with him. The unexpected gesture caught Zhongming completely off guard, and the way he looked at her slowly changed. In Xingfei's clear eyes, only Zhongming was reflected, and her voice became especially gentle. Though a little shy, she smiled and said he would definitely be lucky this time. Hearing that, even Zhongming could not help blushing. Looking at the wheel, Zhongming quickly calculated the odds. Rewards that had already been won would not appear again, leaving only 6 possible prizes. That greatly increased the chance of getting the enhancement potion. Just then, Xingfei accidentally touched the wheel with the exclusion card. Zhongming immediately thought about using it to remove unwanted rewards, like cookies. But that accidental touch was enough to activate the rare card. It slowly dissolved into countless glowing particles. Watching such a priceless treasure vanish in the most unexpected way, Zhongming was left speechless, while Xingfei froze in shock. She hurriedly apologized, explaining she had no idea a simple touch would activate the card. Zhongming could only reassure her that what was done, so they should make the most of its effect. Without waiting any longer, he placed the last crystal into the wheel. After the exclusion card took effect, the chance of getting the enhancement potion rose to 1 in 5. Everything now depended on this final spin. As soon as it activated, the wheel spun at full speed, and the pointer raced across every reward slot. Both of them silently prayed as the wheel slowed down, hoping the pointer would stop on the enhancement potion. At last, luck was on their side. The wheel finally stopped on the enhancement potion. Seeing the result they wanted, both Zhongming and Xingfei lit up with excitement as if they had just found a priceless treasure. In the next instant, a glowing bottle appeared before them. It was a basic enhancement potion that could strengthen the body and boost close combat power by at least 3 times. Holding the precious item, Zhongming knew that during the early days of the apocalypse, this was one of the most sought-after treasures anyone could own. Just from its name, Xingfei guessed what it did. She immediately urged him to drink it and become stronger right away. But Zhongming only smiled and calmly told her to wait because he wanted to show her something even more interesting. A moment later, he carefully poured the entire enhancement potion into a specialized mixing device. Then he added another medicine he had collected from the hospital before. It seemed the hepazine he found had finally become useful. Watching every step, Xingfei curiously asked if this method could turn 1 potion into 2. Zhongming kept mixing while explaining that many different wheels existed in this world, each with its own unique rewards. He went on to explain that enhancement potions were highly valuable for trading. If they collected enough, they could exchange them with other survivors for rare function cards or valuable medicines. Xingfei immediately understood and nodded in agreement. But then, Xingfei asked how he knew so many secrets. Caught off guard, Zhongming quickly changed the subject and explained that the most important part was controlling the mixture's temperature, which was still a little too high. He seriously told Xingfei to remember every step and learn how to control the temperature because she would handle the next batch herself. She happily agreed and promised to learn well. Once the process was complete, they carefully set the new potion aside. Using this method, they successfully turned 1 enhancement potion into 2. Even so, Xingfei was still curious and asked why he had mastered this techniques so well. Just then, Zhongming suddenly heard a strange sound nearby and immediately signaled for her to stay quiet. The eerie noise grew louder and more frequent. Xingfei lowered her voice and asked what it was. Zhongming frowned deeply. Just hearing it made him feel extremely uncomfortable, as if the sound itself was attacking his mind. Realizing the danger was closing in fast, he grabbed Xingfei's hand and pulled her into a full sprint. Xingfei had no idea what was happening and quickly asked. Zhongming only had time to say that something even more terrifying than a horde of zombies was coming. Hearing that, Xingfei's face turned pale. She nervously asked what kind of creature was approaching. Zhongming's voice became tense as he recognized the threat. A swarm of mutant insects was coming. The sturdy front door began cracking under a series of violent impacts from outside. Without hesitation, Zhongming pulled Xingfei upstairs, but she was so frightened that she could not stop herself from looking back. They were mutant beetles created by the apocalypse virus. Each one alone was not very powerful, but together they were incredibly dangerous. Within moments, the air outside became dark and suffocating. The front door shattered as the mutant beetles flooded inside. They never appeared alone. If you saw one, an entire swarm was always close behind. Countless giant beetles crawled up the stairs, each one large enough to terrify anyone who saw them. The two quickly hid inside another room. Xingfei trembled in the corner, her face completely drained of color. Zhongming pointed at a large cabinet and told her to help him block the door. Together they used all their strength to push the heavy cabinet firmly against the entrance, creating a temporary barricade. Wiping the sweat from her forehead, Xingfei asked what those monsters were. Zhongming explained that they were mutant beetles. The apocalypse had not only turned humans into zombies, but had also transformed countless plants and animals into deadly creatures. He stressed that these mutated creatures viewed humans as food and would hunt down anyone they found. Just then, a massive crash shook the entire room, making Xingfei jump in fear. She burst into tears and trembled so badly that she could barely finish a sentence. Another violent impact slammed into the room. Unable to bear the pressure, Xingfei instinctively threw herself into Zhongming's arms. Clinging tightly to him, she trembled as she desperately asked what they should do. Zhongming gently held her and calmly said that as long as he was here, she had nothing to fear. His words slowly calmed Xingfei. For the first time, she felt truly safe and trusted someone completely. Zhongming gently guided her farther into the room and firmly told her to stay there no matter what, until he came back for her. Xingfei looked at him with deep worry and quickly asked what about him. Zhongming simply smiled and told her not to worry because everything would be over soon. After saying that, he closed the door behind him and walked out alone to face the waiting swarm of mutant beetles. Zhongming took out the enhancement potion and prepared to use it before the battle. Even though he knew this was the right moment, he also knew the side effects would be severe. Every wall and every inch of the floor was already covered by the crawling beetles. They chewed through everything in their path, determined to find the humans hiding inside. Seeing the door on the verge of breaking apart, Zhongming realized he had no choice but to use the enhancement potion. He decisively tilted his head back and drank the entire bottle in one gulp. 1 second later, his eyes snapped open with a completely different presence, as if he had become an entirely new person. But his body had not adapted to the new power yet, so he instantly collapsed, as unbearable pain tore through him. Every cell in his body went through a violent transformation, making Zhongming scream in agony. At that exact moment, the swarm smashed through the door and rushed inside. Seeing their prey right in front of them, the mutant beetles charged in, ready to tear him apart. One giant beetle pinned Zhongming to the floor, while more kept pouring into the room, making the situation even worse. At the very edge of death, Zhongming finally finished absorbing the potion. He instantly drove his short blade straight through the beetle, pinning him down. Zhongming rolled away, then swung his blade and cleanly sliced the monster's disgusting head from its body. He threw the remaining beetles off him. After absorbing the enhancement potion, waves of heat poured from his body as faint steam rose non-stop. Zhongming's presence became overwhelming, but the potion's side effects still tortured him, making his entire body feel like it was burning. Watching one of their own die, the mutant beetles flew into a frenzy and charged at him together. Zhongming kept fighting while gritting his teeth through the intense pain, silently cursing the potion's brutal side effects. Ironically, that very pain pushed his fighting ability even higher. Every slash became faster, stronger, and more precise. With a powerful roar, Zhongming charged straight into the middle of the swarm. Moments later, every single mutant beetle had been cut down. None survived his blade. The house quickly fell silent. Only drops of foul monster slime dripped from his blade. Zhongming stood there breathing heavily. The short battle had drained a huge amount of his stamina. After calming down, he carefully looked around. From his past life, he knew that wherever a swarm appeared, a queen beetle was always hiding nearby. He still could not relax, because if he failed to kill the leader, the threat would never truly end. Just as he expected, a massive and disgusting queen beetle slowly crawled out from a crack in the wall. Zhongming looked at it and calmly muttered, "Just as I thought." The queen beetle's eyes darted around as it surveyed the battlefield with a terrifying presence. All that remained before it were the corpses of its offspring and pools of slimy fluid covering the floor. Seeing its entire swarm wiped out, the queen beetle flew into a rage and spat a stream of poison at Zhongming. Fortunately, he dodged just in time. The poison struck a wooden cabinet behind him, hissing as it corroded the surface within seconds. From inside the damaged cabinet, a gemstone bracelet suddenly fell onto the floor. Zhongming calmly continued walking toward the monster. He stared at it with icy eyes, as if asking whether it wanted revenge for its children. Enraged by his attitude, the queen beetle charged at incredible speed. Zhongming did not move because he remembered its fatal weakness from his previous life. At the perfect moment, he leaped into the air and landed on the monster's back. Putting all his strength into both arms, Zhongming drove his blade straight into the queen beetle's weakest point. Its agonized scream echoed throughout the entire house. Knowing the strike had landed, he dragged the blade down its back, carving a long wound that left the monster critically injured. Without stopping, Zhongming twisted the blade even deeper to finish it once and for all. After struggling helplessly for a few seconds, the queen beetle finally died and crashed heavily onto the floor. Zhongming quickly jumped backward to avoid being crushed by its enormous body. As he walked away, he rubbed his aching shoulder. The more power he used, the worse the potion's side effects became. He then walked to the room where Xingfei had been hiding and slowly opened the door. Zhongming stood outside, about to call her out when, before he could finish speaking, Xingfei rushed over and hugged him tightly. The sudden embrace caught Zhongming off guard, and he could only ask what she was doing. Xingfei refused to let go. All the fear and pressure she had been holding back finally burst out in quiet sobs. Zhongming smiled, gently patted her back, and teased that she was already crying after something this small, even though the apocalypse had only just begun. Hearing Zhongming's words, Xingfei gradually calmed down. She looked up at him with red eyes and realized that tears could solve nothing in this new world. She quickly wiped her face and shyly insisted she was not crying. The place was just so dark and smelly that it made her eyes sting. Seeing that, Zhongming kept teasing her, making Xingfei blush as she quickly stepped back after realizing he had seen right through her. Looking at the pile of insect corpses scattered everywhere, Xingfei could only sigh because she had no idea where to start cleaning. Zhongming, on the other hand, was completely unfazed. He even smiled and said the corpses were valuable resources that came to them on their own. Xingfei stared at him in disbelief and asked if they were really that valuable. Zhongming patiently explained that food could still be found in supermarkets and abandoned houses for now, but within about a year, it would become extremely scarce. Xingfei immediately guessed it was because the mutations made farming and raising livestock nearly impossible. He nodded and said there would only be 3 main food sources in the future: the few unspoiled plants left, rewards from dungeons, and dried meat made from mutant insects. The last one left Xingfei completely stunned. Zhongming said that was still far better than eating human flesh. His words sent chills down Xingfei's spine as she asked if people would really resort to cannibalism. The chopped mutant insects had been neatly arranged on plates, but their legs were still twitching, making the sight even more horrifying. Xingfei gripped 2 knives tightly, her face tense as she stared at the next insect she had to process. She squeezed her eyes shut and brought the knife down with all her strength, screaming that it was still moving. Seeing Xingfei desperately chopping away, Zhongming walked over and praised her for doing a great job collecting ingredients. Xingfei finally stopped and complained that he still had the mood to praise her. When she saw him packing his gear, she curiously asked if he was going out again. Zhongming nodded and said he was heading farther away this time, to gather more crystals and scout the surrounding area. Hearing that, Xingfei's expression immediately fell. She quietly accepted the task of staying behind to turn all the insect meat into jerky. She stepped closer, lowered her head, and softly said she would also keep making more enhancement potions to support him. Knowing she was worried about him, Zhongming smiled reassuringly and promised he would return safely. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned and walked away with unwavering determination. Unable to fight, Xingfei could only stand there and watch him disappear into the distance. Her eyes were filled with both worry and sincere affection for Zhongming. The sky above remained peaceful, but the ground below was a scene of complete chaos. Strangely, not a single zombie could be seen anywhere nearby. Suddenly, a horrifying zombie appeared from behind a wall, its organs hanging out as it cautiously looked around. Zhongming immediately locked his gaze on the monster and went on full alert. Just then, the ground suddenly shook, followed by the panicked cries of a young woman calling for help. The moment he heard the scream, Zhongming frowned and cursed under his breath. Shouting like that was no different from calling every zombie in the city. The woman desperately running for her life was Liang Chuyin. With all her strength gone, she finally collapsed onto the cold ground. Her eyes were filled with tears of fear. The moment she saw Zhongming, she used her last bit of strength to beg him for help. Without hesitation, Zhongming rushed over at incredible speed and immediately covered Liang Chuyin's mouth. He glared at her and sternly ordered her to stay quiet, or they would both pay for her reckless mistake. In the next instant, a massive horde of zombies closed in behind them. There were so many that they seemed impossible to count. There was no time left to escape. Just then, one zombie grabbed Liang Chuyan's clothes, making her scream in terror. With no other choice, Zhongming immediately drew his blade and prepared to fight. He pulled Liang Chuyan behind him for protection, while delivering a clean slash that brought down the charging zombie. Even after killing one, the situation remained extremely dangerous, because an endless sea of grotesque zombies was still rushing toward them. Knowing he could not fight the entire horde at once, Zhongming shoved Liang Chuyan behind him, casually beheaded another zombie, and decided they had to retreat immediately. Liang Chuyan ran while crying, because she was already on the verge of a complete mental breakdown. Fortunately, a house appeared ahead that could serve as a temporary shelter. Without thinking twice, she rushed over and pushed the door open, terrified there might be zombies waiting inside. Luckily, the house was completely empty. She immediately shut the door and leaned against it, gasping for breath. Fear overwhelmed Liang Chuyan, and tears streamed down her face. A few seconds later, she peeked through the door and saw Zhongming desperately holding back the zombie horde. Her still there, he shouted for her to lock the door immediately. Realizing the fight would only get worse, Zhongming turned and sprinted straight toward the house. He slipped through the narrow gap just before the zombie horde crashed into the entrance. Gasping for breath, he slammed the door shut with all his strength, but one zombie stayed right on his heels. It immediately shoved its bloody arm into the gap to stop the door from closing. The horrifying sight made both Zhongming and Liang Chuyan turn pale. Seconds later, the zombies began forcing their way inside. Zhongming immediately shouted for her to run upstairs. Even after exhausting so much stamina, he rushed up the steep staircase at incredible speed. Liang Chuyan was weaker and gradually fell behind. Only a few steps separated her from the zombie horde. Her body was completely drained, sweat soaked her clothes, and despair filled her heart. Just one moment too slow, and a zombie grabbed her ankle. Liang Chuyan cried out for help, and Zhongming instantly noticed the danger. He quickly assessed the situation and came up with a solution in an instant. Without hesitation, he lifted Liang Chuyan with one hand, while using the other to cut down the zombie clinging to her. The two leaned against each other, breathing heavily from exhaustion, while the zombies kept climbing closer. Just as everything seemed hopeless, a brilliant light suddenly shone through the window. Both of them instinctively turned toward the source of the light. High above the sky, a massive sphere of light slowly descended, radiating an overwhelming aura. Zhongming recognized it immediately. It was the secret realm key, the treasure he had been waiting for. Hidden within the glow was the mysterious key. It was one of the greatest treasures of the apocalypse, and the only way to enter the secret realm, where hope for survival awaited. Zhongming and Liang Chuyan stared at it without blinking. Memories from his previous life flashed through his mind, when even countless starry sky-level experts had desperately sought this treasure. Zhongming's determination to claim the secret realm key instantly ignited. No matter what, he would seize it in this life. Just as his fighting spirit reached its peak, Liang Chuyan's urgent scream snapped him back to reality. She barely managed to warn him before a zombie lunged at Zhongming with its rotten mouth, aimed straight at his weak spot, making him curse in shock. Zhongming's expression instantly darkened. Killing intent blazed in his icy eyes, making him seem even more terrifying than the apocalypse itself. Fortunately, Zhongming reacted instantly and smashed a powerful punch into the zombie's twisted face. Even now, it had aimed for the worst possible place. The hammer-like punch sent the zombie flying backward, knocking down several others behind it. Zhongming could not help muttering that he had almost suffered a disaster. With those precious extra seconds, he quickly regained his stance. The narrow staircase had become the perfect choke point against the zombie horde. His breathing steadied, and his eyes turned razor-sharp. There were only about 10 zombies ahead, and he was determined to kill every one of them. He did not have to wait long before the first zombie charged at him. Zhongming swung his blade without hesitation, cleanly severing the zombie's rotten arm. The severed limb and foul-smelling slime splattered everywhere. Some of the filth landed on Liang Chuyan, but she barely noticed. Her thoughts drifted back to the life she had only lost a few days ago, when everything she dreamed of was within reach. Back then, she was a popular social media star, constantly surrounded by admirers, gifts, and attention. She had a happy family, a successful career, financial security, and a life that many envied. She had also excelled in school, outperforming her peers, and truly believed her future would always be bright. But now, all that remained before her were hideous, bloodthirsty zombies. They had appeared without warning, and slaughtered countless people, destroying the peaceful world in an instant. The most painful memory for Liang Chuyin was fleeing from her own father. After he became a zombie, she felt she had lost everything. The endless roars of the monsters echoed in her ears until her spirit nearly collapsed. She closed her eyes and let despair consume her. Slumping onto the floor, Liang Chuyin desperately wondered if this would be the final moment of her life. Just as Liang Chuyin was about to give up, Zhongming's shout snapped her back to reality. He yelled at her to get up and keep running. Liang Chuyin looked up through tear-filled eyes. Zhongming was still risking his life to protect both of them. Before long, the last zombie fell beneath his blade. Liang Chuyin stared in shock and asked if he had really wiped them all out. After clearing the area, Zhongming simply let out a long breath. Other than that, he barely showed any sign of exhaustion. Though his expression stayed calm, he reminded Liang Chuyin that if she wanted to survive, she had to stop freezing up. Their top priority now was finding the secret realm key. Only then did Liang Chuyin finally come back to her senses. She had truly believed she would die moments ago. Looking at Zhongming's steady back, she could not help thinking he was unbelievably strong. After studying the surroundings, Zhongming noticed this rooftop connected to the building ahead. He quickly planned a route across the rooftops. After crossing 2 more streets, they would reach the place where the secret realm key had landed. Liang Chuyin immediately followed behind him, but Zhongming suddenly stopped in his tracks. The hope they had just found was instantly crushed by the shocking sight before them. The entire wall ahead was covered with countless thick vines that looked extremely strange. Before she understood what was happening, Liang Chuyin stepped closer and noticed the vines were actually moving. By the time Zhongming realized the danger, it was already too late. In an instant, the vines wrapped tightly around Liang Chuyin, and he could only shout a warning. The vines tightened more and more, making Liang Chuyin scream in pain. Unable to leave her behind, Zhongming immediately rushed in to save her. As he attacked, he frowned and muttered that another problem had shown up. With just a few clean strikes, he cut every vine wrapped around her into pieces. The moment she was freed, Zhongming caught her before she could hit the ground. After being rescued once again, Liang Chuyin started overthinking. She wondered if he kept risking his life because he actually liked her. Her cheeks turned red as she gently leaned against his solid chest, secretly imagining how perfect they would be together. But before her fantasy could go any further, Zhongming coldly let go, sending her straight onto the ground in embarrassment. Ignoring Liang Chuyin's reaction, he continued cutting down every mutant plant in sight while complaining about how troublesome they were. Watching him, she could only smile because he cleared the vines as easily as mowing grass. Less than a minute later, not a single vine remained. Wiping the sweat from his forehead, Zhongming sighed because he had wasted too much valuable time. However, when he tried to open the next door, he discovered it was locked from the other side. Liang Chuyin curiously asked what was wrong. Zhongming calmly explained that something was blocking the door from outside, making it impossible to open. She then asked what they should do. Instead of explaining, Zhongming answered with actions. He delivered one powerful kick. The door burst open and crashed to the ground, revealing nearly 10 survivors on the rooftop, all holding weapons and standing on guard. Zhongming and Liang Chuyin looked at the group, while the survivors silently stared back at them. The atmosphere on the rooftop instantly became tense, and no one spoke first. Finally, a blonde-haired man demanded to know who they were and why they had come. Zhongming calmly explained that the area below had become too dangerous, so they climbed up to take shelter. He then asked if the group had been hiding there all along. The blonde-haired man immediately lost his temper. Pointing at the broken door, he shouted that if zombies came through that entrance, everyone would be in danger. Zhongming calmly told him not to worry. Without mentioning that he had already wiped out the entire zombie horde, Zhongming simply said he had checked the surrounding area carefully, and there were no zombies left nearby. While 2 other survivors tried to fix the broken door, the blonde-haired man kept yelling. He insisted no one could guarantee zombies would not suddenly appear, and accused Zhongming of being reckless. After struggling to repair it, a red-haired man shook his head and admitted the door was completely ruined. The best they could do was brace it with a few metal bars. That only made the blonde-haired man angrier. He pointed the club in his hand at Zhongming and blamed him for everything. According to him, if zombies really came up, everyone would die. Seeing the tension getting worse, the red-haired man quickly placed a hand on his companion's shoulders and reminded him that Zhongming and Liang Chuyin had no way of knowing people were already hiding there. Zhongming did not bother arguing with people like them. He only gave them a cold, contemptuous look. Just then, he noticed several other survivors, huddled together in a corner of the rooftop, trembling with fear. Suo Yin looked over and pointed at them, surprised that there were still more survivors here. Seeing their attention shift to the group, the blonde man quickly softened his tone. He explained they had escaped the zombies below and gathered on the rooftop to survive. Lowering his bat, the blonde man said it was all a misunderstanding and asked where Zhongming and Suo Yin were headed. Zhongming simply replied that he was going to the high school. The blonde man immediately mocked him. He guessed it was High School A, asked if someone was trapped there, and sneered that the streets were packed with zombies. So how could he possibly get there? Every street below was crowded with wandering zombies, creating a terrifying scene. Zhongming did not hide his goal. He said he wanted to see if there was a route from here, because he had spotted a strange beam of light over the school and wanted to know what it was. The blonde man admitted a strange light had fallen onto the school, but said charging into a zombie nest over that was pure madness. Zhongming ignored the mockery and only asked if there was a shortcut. The blonde man pointed to the building across the way. He said there was a path if they jumped from the eastern rooftop to the opposite corridor, but the gap was extremely dangerous. As Zhongming quietly studied the edge of the rooftop, the blonde man warned him not to try, because he would probably break his legs. Ignoring him, Zhongming measured the distance and realized the opposite building was one floor lower and only about 5 meters away. After calculating every detail, he decided to make the jump. Just as he was about to move, he felt someone gently tug on his clothes from behind. After being saved by Zhongming again and again, Suo Yin trusted him completely. She looked at him and begged to come along, asking him not to leave her behind. Zhongming did not object. He took off his backpack, handed it to Suo Yin, and told her to carry it. Even though she was still nervous, Suo Yin nodded. The blonde man mocked them again, saying jumping alone was risky enough, and bringing another person plus a heavy backpack was suicide. A moment later, he suddenly acted friendly and offered to hold the backpack. Gone was his earlier hostility. With a fake smile, he said he would return the bag after Zhongming reached the other side. Suo Yin did not trust the stranger at all. She hugged the backpack tightly no matter how much he demanded it. From the front, Zhongming firmly told Suo Yin to put the backpack on immediately. Seeing his serious expression, she answered softly without hesitation and did exactly as he said. In just a few moments, the backpack was securely strapped to her back. Then Zhongming tied a sturdy rope around her waist to keep her safe. Once everything was ready, he climbed over the railing and looked down into the empty space below. Terrified, Suo Yin wrapped her arms tightly around him from behind. At that moment, the blonde man's baseball bat suddenly blocked his path and pinned Zhongming's arm. Narrowing his eyes, the blonde man asked if the backpack contained climbing gear. Suo Yin glared at him in anger, but he coldly threatened to smash Zhongming's arm unless they handed over the backpack. Zhongming curled his lips into a cold smile and said only 2 words, "Fool." Without another second of hesitation, Zhongming pushed off with all his strength and launched himself from the rooftop. Seeing him jump while carrying Suo Yin, everyone behind him froze. The blonde man stared in disbelief that he actually dared to risk his life. Everything went exactly as Zhongming had calculated, so he never fell onto the zombie-filled street below. In the blink of an eye, the two of them landed safely on the rooftop across the gap. The blonde man and the red-haired man watched the whole thing in stunned silence. To them, it looked like something only madmen would do. Zhongming untied the rope around Suo Yin and asked if she was hurt. Still shaking with fear, she steadied herself and said she was fine. Neither of them knew that somewhere else, someone was watching their every move through binoculars, with his gaze fixed especially on Suo Yin. The man was known as Fifth Brother. He licked his lips with greedy excitement and smiled with clear interest. Lowering his binoculars, Fifth Brother revealed a sinister grin and muttered that he had finally found 2 valuable targets. In the morning sunlight, his cruel expression was fully exposed, making him seem even more terrifying than the zombies. Behind Fifth Brother, his gang was taking advantage of the chaos to imprison and assault innocent girls. Curses, shouting, and arguments over whose turn was next filled the air. The captured victims could only helplessly endure the abuse from the entire gang. Those standing outside casually joked and placed bets on how long each man would last, treating the victims' suffering as entertainment. A gray-haired man took a drag from his cigarette and laughed. He complained there was no alcohol anywhere, but at least he had found a pack of cigarettes on an old man's corpse. A black-haired man said that if they wanted alcohol, they should check the principal's office because the school cafeteria would not have any. Hearing that, the bald man asked what they should do with the students they had locked up. The black-haired man sneered and said they should wait for fifth brother's orders, though he wanted to throw all the students to the zombies. A blue-haired man even suggested keeping the female students first, shocking even the bald man with his twisted idea. Just then, fifth brother pushed the door open and asked what everyone was talking about. The moment he appeared, all eyes turned to him. The bald man asked fifth brother if they were going to stay trapped inside the school forever, now that zombies surrounded the place. The gray-haired man looked terrified. His voice shook as he said the whole world had changed overnight and asked if this was really the apocalypse. Fifth brother threw an arm over his shoulder and gave him a creepy smile. He simply asked, "The apocalypse?" Looking at the gray-haired man with pride, he said they could now do whatever they wanted and crush anyone without consequences. While the helpless girls continued to suffer inside, fifth brother preached his twisted belief that in this world, the strong were the ones who made the rules. His face turned colder than ever. To him, this was not the apocalypse. It was paradise where every desire could be fulfilled. The entire school campus and the surrounding streets were packed with wandering zombies, their horrifying growls echoing everywhere. Meanwhile, Zhongming quietly hid behind a wall and carefully watched every zombie's movement. Suo Yin stayed low behind him. The moment the opportunity appeared, Zhongming signaled for her to follow closely. The two rushed across the danger zone, while keeping their footsteps as quiet as possible to avoid attracting the zombies. After covering some distance, Zhongming stopped and carefully checked the entire area before moving again. Once he confirmed the route, Zhongming sprinted toward the next safe spot, forcing Suo Yin to push herself to keep up. But after running non-stop, sweat soaked her clothes, and her strength was almost gone. Gasping for breath, Suo Yin begged him to slow down, because she truly could not keep up anymore. Zhongming shot her an annoyed look and blamed himself for taking on extra baggage. He had let her appearance cloud his judgment and made an unnecessary mistake. Even so, he could not leave her behind. While complaining inwardly about how weak she was, he slowed down and told her to stay close. Seeing Zhongming reduce his pace, Suo Yin quietly sighed with relief and told herself she could keep going if the speed stayed like this. As they reached a corner, she finally took a deep breath and felt relieved that there seemed to be very few zombies nearby. Zhongming immediately disagreed. He reminded her this was a school packed with people before the outbreak, so the lack of zombies was even more suspicious. Suo Yin looked confused because she could not see a single one. While watching the classrooms above, he explained that something else had attracted the zombies and pulled them all in one direction. Sure enough, a massive group of zombies was clawing, smashing, and roaring at the door of a nearby classroom. Inside, several surviving students were desperately holding the door shut. One of them gave up in despair, saying that even if the zombies did not kill them, they would eventually starve to death. Another female student choked back tears and asked if all they could do now was sit there and wait to die. Just as she looked out the window, she suddenly froze after spotting something outside. Forgetting the need to stay quiet, she immediately shouted that someone was coming. From the third floor, she leaned out the window, waved frantically, and shouted to get Ye Zhongming and Liang Suo Yin's attention. Seeing that, Liang Suo Yin quickly told Ye Zhongming that there were still survivors ahead. He coldly replied that they were not even safe themselves, so they should stop worrying about others and keep moving. The students inside burst into tears and begged them to save their lives because they did not want to die there. Their desperate pleas left Liang Suo Yin completely torn. It was not that Ye Zhongming did not want to help, but he knew it was almost impossible. He explained that their screams would attract even more zombies, and if they stayed any longer, both of them would be in danger. The cries for help echoed behind them as Liang Suo Yin lowered her head, quietly walked away, and softly apologized to the trapped students. Even after they had gone a long way, she still felt guilty for leaving them behind. Finally, she gathered the courage to ask Ye Zhongming if there was truly no way to save them. Ye Zhongming answered firmly that the students were already surrounded by zombies, and their constant shouting had surely drawn even more monsters. He was not a god who could save everyone. If she wanted to help, she could go back alone. Hearing that, Liang Suo Yin could only lower her head and quietly apologize. Ye Zhongming kept walking and reminded her to stay clear-headed. This was the apocalypse, and acting on emotion would only get her killed. Night slowly covered the school campus. The long hallway disappeared into darkness. Every footstep made the atmosphere even more chilling, and Liang Suo Yin quietly followed behind him. She looked at Ye Zhongming's steady back and wondered why he was so determined to come to this school. Could this place hold the key to surviving the apocalypse? After hesitating for a while, Liang Suoyin thanked him for saving her so many times and asked for his name. Without turning around, Ye Zhongming smirked and said that a simple thank you was not enough because he had just saved her life. The moment he finished speaking, he suddenly stopped and pulled her close. His tone sounded playful, but carried an icy chill. If she really wanted to thank him, she should show some sincerity. He had risked his life to save her, so one sentence was hardly enough. Liang Suoyin flinched and instinctively stepped back. What else do you want?" she asked cautiously. Ye Zhongming gave her a dangerous smile and said, "Of course, I could use you as bait to lure the zombies over." Liang Suoyin stammered in panic, her face filled with fear. Ye Zhongming looked at her calmly and reminded her not to think anyone was obligated to save her. In a life-or-death situation, her value could be less than a rolling backpack. Liang Suoyin lowered her head and quietly admitted she understood. After a long silence, she softly introduced herself. "My name is Liang Suoyin." He replied with only 2 words, Ye Zhongming. Liang Suoyin paused for a moment, finally learning his name. His words were harsh, but he did not seem like a truly cruel person. Just then, a desperate cry for help suddenly echoed from the floor above. Ye Zhongming immediately looked up and quickly realized that Spot would likely give him a clear view of where the secret realm key had landed. He told Liang Suoyin to find a safe hiding place, then rushed off at incredible speed before she could respond. Climbing along a water pipe, he moved like a shadow through the night. Liang Suoyin could only call out after him. In the blink of an eye, Ye Zhongming reached the floor where the cries came from. One powerful kick shattered the glass door, and he charged straight into the middle of the zombie horde. 2 terrified female students immediately ran behind a woman for protection. Park Soo-young held her 2 students tightly and looked at Ye Zhongming with deep gratitude, thanking him again and again for saving the girls. But Ye Zhongming paid no attention to her thanks. His eyes stayed fixed outside, as he confirmed that this Spot really could see where the secret realm key had fallen. Park Soo-young knelt beside the motionless body on the floor and tearfully announced that Xiao Qiang was gone. She tried to comfort the 2 girls and told them they had to find a way out. Xiao Xiao wiped away her tears and said she did not want to stay in this nightmare for another second. Lily trembled in despair because zombies were everywhere outside. Park Soo-young turned to Ye Zhongming and asked if someone with his strength could escort the 3 of them to safety. Every other student had already died, leaving only these 2 girls. Ye Zhongming calmly explained that he had come to the school to find something. If they could tell him where it was, he would escort all 3 of them to safety. Hearing that, Park Soo-young asked what he was looking for. Ye Zhongming pointed out the window and asked if they had seen a beam of light fall from the sky and where it had landed. The 3 looked at each other and shook their heads, saying they did not know. But a moment later, Park Soo-young remembered something. She said she had seen it, but Ye Zhongming had to promise to get all 3 of them out safely first. Ye Zhongming smirked and asked how she could prove she had really seen it, while trying to make demands. Park Soo-young firmly described the beam of light appearing in the sky like a meteor crossing the daylight before crashing somewhere on the school grounds. After hearing her story, Ye Zhongming knew she was telling the truth. He immediately asked for the exact location, but Park Soo-young stayed cautious. She said that if she revealed everything now, he might leave them behind with no one left to rely on. Ye Zhongming grew impatient and said they could stay there and wait to die if they wanted. But if she revealed the location of the secret realm key, they would at least have a chance to survive. The choice was hers. Park Soo-young still refused to give in. She asked if he could truly guarantee that everyone would survive if she told him the truth. Folding his arms, Ye Zhongming answered coldly. There were simply too many zombies inside the building, and with his current strength, he could only guarantee the safety of 2 people. Park Soo-young froze, unwilling to accept it. She kept asking why he could not try harder, and even accused him of being heartless for refusing such a desperate request. Ye Zhongming calmly drew his weapon and fixed her with a sharp gaze. He said there was no such thing as fairness anymore. The weak could only accept reality, so she needed to decide who would be saved. Lily clung to her teacher's clothes, trembling as she begged Park Soo-young not to leave her behind. Park Soo-young gently placed a hand on Lily's shoulder and calmly reassured her that as long as she was there, she did not need to be so afraid. Ye Zhongming had no intention of waiting any longer. His expression turned even colder as he urged her to make the final choice. Xiao Xiao clenched her fists and firmly said she did not want to choose between anyone. Not wanting her students to suffer, Park Soo-young decided that Ye Zhongming should take the 2 girls instead. Hearing that, both Lily and Xiao Xiao burst into tears and called out to their teacher. Yi Zhongming nodded and promised to protect the two girls until they reached safety. He then asked Park Soo-young to keep her promise and reveal where the light had landed. Park Soo-young remained careful. She said she would only write down the location and throw the note to him after he had safely escorted the girls downstairs. Ye Zhongming glanced at her, silently admiring how composed she was. He turned and walked toward the door, leaving only one sentence behind. He hoped her sacrifice would truly mean something, then told the two girls to follow him. Xiao Xiao bit her lip with tears in her eyes as she called for her teacher. Park Soo-young forced a gentle smile despite her trembling lips and softly told the girls to leave without worry. Before opening the door, Ye Zhongming checked outside and warned that 3 zombies were waiting. He quickly instructed Park Soo-young to lock the door the moment they left, block it with furniture, and make absolutely no noise. Park Soo-young nodded quietly to show she understood. The moment the door cracked open, the 3 zombies roared and charged straight at them. Without hesitation, Ye Zhongming unleashed a powerful kick that sent one zombie flying across the hallway. Fighting as he moved, he shouted for the 2 girls to stay right behind him. He carved a path forward while constantly urging them to run faster. Their footsteps echoed through the dark hallway. Lily looked back one last time, tears blurring her eyes as she cried out for her teacher. Xiao Xiao grabbed Lily's hand, crying as she pulled her forward and refused to let her stop. The other 2 zombies chased them like mad. Meanwhile, Park Soo-young slammed the door shut, locked it, and barricaded it with chairs. Her heart pounded with fear, yet she bitterly smiled at herself for choosing to stay behind despite trembling so badly. Then she quietly reminded herself that she was their teacher. Yi Zhongming led the 2 girls down the stairwell, shouting for them to stay close and never fall behind. The heavy smell of blood filled the staircase, where zombie corpses were scattered across nearly every step. He was quietly worried. Alone, this would not be a problem, but protecting 2 students made the situation far more dangerous. As Ye Zhongming carefully scanned the area, he noticed something strange. The stairs below were eerily quiet, as if every zombie had gathered on the upper floors, leaving the lower levels unnaturally empty. After a few more steps, he suddenly stopped. His eyes sharpened as an overwhelming sense of danger rose inside him. Without hesitation, Ye Zhongming shouted for the 2 girls to freeze and back away immediately. Gasping for breath, Xiao Xiao nervously asked if something dangerous was waiting ahead. Ye Zhongming replied in a low voice that he was not sure, but his instincts warned him that a terrifying threat was drawing very close. Xiao Xiao cautiously stepped forward, looked around, and said she could not see a single zombie. Maybe he was just too tense and imagining things. Yi Zhongming narrowed his eyes, wondering if that uneasy feeling had really been nothing more than his imagination. But he quickly dismissed the thought and decided to assume he had been mistaken. Either way, they could not waste any more time standing there. The 3 continued down the stairs. Their footsteps echoed through the empty stairwell, but after only a few more steps, Yi Zhongming's suddenly stopped again. A chilling sensation brushed past his back, making him instantly spin around. Seeing his reaction, Xiao Xiao became even more nervous and quickly asked what was wrong. She had no idea why they had suddenly stopped in the middle of the stairway. Yi Zhongming immediately raised a hand, signaling both girls to stay completely silent. His eyes swept across the dark hallway, searching every corner without missing a thing. Yet all he saw was the same eerie silence. He quietly wondered if he had become too suspicious and was imagining the danger. After calming himself for a few seconds, he said he had probably been overthinking it. Then he motioned for everyone to keep moving. The 3 quietly continued downstairs, but the uneasy feeling still weighed heavily on all of them. It felt as though an invisible creature was silently following behind them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Yi Zhongming frowned, unable to shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. At that very moment, a long red tongue suddenly brushed across Xiao Xiao's hair. She jumped in fright and instantly turned around to see what had touched her. Right behind her stood a mutated zombie, roaring savagely with its mouth stretched wide enough to swallow her whole. Xiao Xiao screamed in terror as the monster lunged forward to devour her. At the very last second, Yi Zhongming reacted instantly and threw his knife at the monster. The blade sliced off the mutated zombie's long tongue. The severed tongue hit the floor and kept twitching in a horrifying sight. Badly injured, the mutated zombie let out a deafening scream of pain that echoed through the hallway. Enraged, it swung its razor-sharp claws and charged straight at Yi Zhongming. Instead of dodging, he drove a powerful punch directly into the monster's grotesque face. But the blow did almost nothing. Seeing the creature's reaction, he immediately realized the situation was worse than he had expected. The answer flashed through Yi Zhongming's mind. This was a mutated iron arm zombie, but what shocked him was that this type of monster had appeared far earlier than it should have. Without hesitation, he followed with a heavy kick that forced the monster back and bought himself some distance. The zombies were evolving much faster than he had predicted. Yi Zhongming kept launching attack after attack, trying to find the creature's weakness. But the mutated zombie barely seemed affected and stood firm against every blow. None of his attacks produced any meaningful result. Behind him, Xiao Xiao was still sitting on the floor, trembling uncontrollably. Fighting back tears, she begged Lily for help, saying her legs had gone numb and she could not stand. But when she looked up, she saw Lily quietly walking away without even turning back, making Xiao Xiao cry out her friend's name in terror. At that moment, the mutated zombie slowly closed in on Xiao Xiao. Facing death at point-blank range, the little girl could only break down in despair. At the critical moment, Ye Zhongming leaped onto the monster's head and pulled the trigger without hesitation. He silently thanked his luck that he had kept the gun he won from the previous roulette with him all this time. The gunshot echoed through the building. The recoil sent a sharp pain through his arm, and Ye Zhongming cursed under his breath as his wrist seemed to slip out of place. He then looked coldly at Xiao Xiao, who was still frozen on the floor, and shouted for her to get up if she wanted to live. Before anyone could relax, strange noises suddenly came from behind them, making everyone jump. Yi Zhongming frowned. The gunshot had probably attracted a whole horde of zombies. He tightened his grip on the pistol, ready for the worst. His eyes stayed locked on the source of the sound, as he silently prepared for a zombie attack. But the moment, a figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Yi Zhongming froze in surprise. It was someone he never expected to see. It was Liang Suoyin. She ran straight to him, threw her arms around him, and burst into tears after finally finding him. Ye Zhongming looked at her in confusion and asked why she had come all the way up here. Seeing another survivor, Lily let out a sigh of relief. Xiao Xiao, however, stayed cautious and asked if Liang Suoyin had been bitten by a zombie. Liang Suoyin quickly explained that she had waited downstairs for a long time, but when he never returned, she became terrified. Yi Zhongming immediately scolded her for running around a building filled with zombies. She explained that a strange light had suddenly appeared in a room behind the building, drawing every zombie toward it. That was the only reason she dared to come looking for him. Hearing this, Ye Zhongming was stunned. He immediately asked if she was certain that the light had pulled all the zombies away. Liang Suoyin nodded, still shocked as she recalled what had happened. She said she never would have left her hiding place if the zombies had not all been lured away. As they continued moving, Ye Zhongming casually remarked that she had been lucky not to run into a single zombie. But in his mind, the pieces quickly came together. There was only one thing that could attract zombies like that. He was almost certain it was the light from a secret realm roulette. Without wasting another second, Ye Zhongming led everyone downstairs, determined to leave the building first. Along the way, Liang Suoyin glanced at Xiao Xiao and Lily and quietly made a guess. She figured Yi Zhongming must have rescued the two girls, which was why they were traveling with him. After a while, Lily hesitantly apologized to Xiao Xiao, explaining that she had only acted that way because she was terrified and had never meant to abandon her. Xiao Xiao simply replied that she understood it was panic and would not hold it against Lily. After that, the four of them quickly continued downstairs. Meanwhile, someone was still quietly watching them from a window on the upper floor. Xiao Xiao immediately recognized Teacher Park and smiled with relief. Lily quickly pulled her back and reminded her to keep her voice down so she would not attract zombies. From above, Park Soo-young smiled with relief as she watched her two students finally escape safely. But then she fell into thought. If she had not revealed the location of the light, would Yi Zhongming have come back to save her? Letting out a quiet sigh, she dropped a piece of paper out the window and told herself there was no point thinking about it anymore, because her student's lives now depended on him. She knew that all she could do now was trust Ye Zhongming. Liang Suoyin was the first to notice the paper drifting down. Yi Zhongming picked it up and quietly remarked that the woman truly was as a devoted teacher. Liang Suoyin curiously asked why he had not saved her, if he already knew she was a good person. Yi Zhongming calmly replied that she had tried to use information to bargain with him, so she could stay behind and learn a lesson first. He unfolded the paper and quickly read everything written on it. After reading it, Yi Zhongming finally knew the exact location of the secret realm key. It had landed in a hidden and secure place that most people would never think to check. Yi Zhongming quickly reorganized his plan. There were now two places he had to investigate: the secret realm key at the construction site, and the mysterious light Liang Suoyin had mentioned, which was most likely another roulette. He quietly looked at Xiao Xiao and Lily. The two girls had only just met him, and they were neither cautious nor good at keeping secrets, so they were not suitable companions for finding the secret realm key. For now, he decided to investigate the source of the mysterious light first. Zhongming signaled for Liang Suoyin to lead the way. She was still worried because countless zombies had gathered there. He only smirked. The more zombies there were, the more valuable the treasure inside had to be. Zhongming then called Xiao Xiao and Lily to follow. Both girls immediately agreed. After walking for a while, Liang Suoyin could not hold back anymore. She urged everyone to stop because she had seen an entire horde heading that way. Xiao Xiao turned pale, unable to understand why they were still moving toward such danger. Lily looked at Zhongming suspiciously and bluntly asked if he planned to use them as bait, now that he had gotten the information from their teacher. Instead of giving a long explanation, Zhongming calmly drew his sword. His eyes stayed unwavering as he told everyone not to panic. He casually said that the apocalypse had already begun, so there was no place completely free of zombies. As for using people as bait, he said he had not sunk that low. With that, Zhongming gripped his sword and walked alone into the darkness ahead, telling the three of them to wait outside because he would be back soon. After speaking, he quickly disappeared deeper into the building. The other three could only stand there, anxiously watching his figure fade into the darkness. Liang Suoyin frowned, wondering what could be so important inside that he would risk his life for it. Once Zhongming was out of sight, Lily let out a long sigh of relief. She had truly feared he would use them as bait. But in Lily's eyes, Zhongming was walking straight to his death. Even with a gun, surviving against an entire zombie horde seemed impossible. After waiting a while, Lily quietly pulled Xiao Xiao aside and signaled for her to speak in private. Xiao Xiao asked what she was planning. They slipped into a hidden corner. Lily immediately suggested that they use this chance to find a safe place to hide, instead of following the others. Xiao Xiao stared at her in shock and asked if she wanted to abandon everyone. Lily quickly explained that this was the time to think about their own survival. With so many zombies inside, she believed Zhongming had almost no chance of coming back. Xiao Xiao still hesitated, reminding her that he had saved their lives. Lily cut her off, saying that if the zombie horde rushed outside, they would all die together. Just then, Liang Suoyin suddenly turned toward them with a wary look and asked what they were whispering about. Lily reacted instantly, calmly saying that she was not feeling well and had asked Xiao Xiao to help her find a private place. Liang Suoyin did not question them further and quietly watched the two girls walk away. Deep down, she had only one wish left. She hoped Zhongming would return safely. Inside the building, Zhongming calmly studied the zombie horde ahead and thought that luck was on his side this time. To his relief, there were no dangerous mutated zombies like the ones from the previous building. He tightened his grip on the blade, his eyes turning ice cold. Another brutal fight was about to begin. He lightly touched his aching left shoulder and frowned. Even though he had reset dislocated joints many times in his previous life, the pain was still intense. Hoarse growls filled the room as the entire zombie horde spotted him and charged at once. Zhongming did not hesitate. He drew his pistol in one swift motion and fired immediately. The deafening gunshot echoed through the building, making Liang Suoyin flinch as worry instantly filled her heart. All she could do was silently pray that Zhongming would survive. Outside, Lily also heard the gunfire and panicked. She urged Xiao Xiao to leave immediately, but Xiao Xiao hesitated because she had no idea where it would be safe. After thinking for a moment, Lily suggested heading to the teacher's dormitory. She believed it was less crowded, less likely to have mutated monsters, and might even contain stored food. Xiao Xiao glanced at Liang Suoyin and quietly asked if they should really leave her behind. Lily did not hesitate. She grabbed Xiao Xiao and insisted that in a life-or-death situation, saving themselves came first. But Xiao Xiao suddenly yanked her hand free, leaving Lily stunned. The next moment, Xiao Xiao turned around and ran back toward Liang Suoyin. She grabbed Liang Suoyin's hand and urgently told her to leave this dangerous place at once. Watching from a distance, Lily grew furious. In her eyes, bringing along another person only meant having even less food to share later. She quietly regretted not slipping away earlier. At least then, she would not have to worry about anyone else. But Liang Suoyin firmly shook her head. She insisted on staying. Xiao Xiao anxiously warned that if the zombies inside rushed out, they would have no chance to escape. Liang Suoyin calmly looked at Xiao Xiao and asked how long she thought she could survive without Zhongming. Xiao Xiao was left speechless. Liang Suoyin slowly explained that Yi Zhongming was far stronger than anyone realized. In the apocalypse, leaving him was no different from choosing death. Xiao Xiao still could not understand. She asked how Liang Suoyin could trust him so completely when he was still fighting for his own life. Liang Suoyin simply smiled and asked who had said those zombies were too much for Ye Zhongming. Xiao Xiao had no answer. At that very moment, inside the building, Ye Zhongming used his overwhelming strength to wipe out the entire zombie horde in a short time. After clearing the area, he looked at the roulette standing before him. Just as he had expected, the power from this object had attracted every zombie to this place. The roulette before him was not an ordinary exchange roulette. It was an extremely rare 3-color roulette. After the apocalypse began and the deadly virus spread, mysterious roulettes appeared everywhere. Besides the normal level 1 through level 9 roulettes, there was also a special series with multiple colors, including the 3-color roulette. Beyond that, there were even 5-color, 7-color, and 9-color roulettes. Together they were known as multicolor roulettes. Each one had its own reward system. Activating them gave users a chance to obtain rare classes or powerful skills, from combat classes like Blade Master and Genius Marksman to many other unique abilities. Besides combat classes, the roulettes could also grant valuable support classes for survival, such as Pharmacist and Chef. Only the matching class could unlock the full power of certain equipment and items. For example, a Blade Master wielding the right sword could unleash terrifying strength and cut down enemy after enemy. 3-color roulettes were incredibly rare, appearing only about 1/5 as often as ordinary roulettes, making them highly coveted. Even Yi Zhongming never expected to encounter a 3-color roulette this early. He carefully stepped closer because he knew these roulettes also carried enormous risks. Landing on a black space could make the entire roulette explode. But after taking a closer look, he noticed the black space had a class symbol on it, meaning it was not an explosive slot. Ye Zhongming frowned. Had someone as unlucky as him for over 20 years really stumbled onto such fortune? Or had Xingfei's luck somehow become his? Outside, Xiao Xiao continued urging Liang Suoyin to leave, because she believed Yi Zhongming could not possibly survive against the zombie horde. Liang Suoyin still refused. She said she believed in Ye Zhongming, and if the other two wanted to leave, they were free to do so. She only hoped they would not become zombie food after taking a few steps. Lily sneered, saying that would never happen, because every zombie had been drawn to Ye Zhongming, making the outside much safer. After saying that, she urged Xiao Xiao to stop listening to Liang Suoyin and leave with her immediately. Pulling Xiao Xiao by the hand, Lily mocked her for believing Yi Zhongming was some kind of savior. Liang Suoyin could stay behind and wait for him to die. Hearing those words, Liang Suoyin could no longer stay silent. She immediately slapped Lily across the face. Liang Suoyin shouted at Lily to remember who had saved their lives, and warned her not to speak so disrespectfully again. Holding her burning cheek, Lily screamed in anger, shocked that Liang Suoyin had actually hit her. Xiao Xiao quickly rushed over to check on her. Refusing to back down, Lily slapped Liang Suoyin just as hard and coldly warned her not to think she would keep putting up with it. She also mocked Liang Suoyin, saying Ye Zhongming would never protect her forever. With that, Lily grabbed Xiao Xiao and prepared to leave at once. At the same time, 3 men quietly watched everything from a nearby dark corner. One of them laughed with amusement at the girl's argument. He grinned with satisfaction, saying, "This was finally getting interesting." The leader, known as Fifth Brother, gave a slight nod and ordered his 2 lackeys to bring Liang Chuyin to him. The blonde thug turned pale at once and warned that the lower floors were packed with zombies, so going down now was suicide. Fifth Brother exploded in anger and called them useless. He said every zombie had been drawn to the media center, so the lower floors were safe and they should bring her up now. As they walked downstairs, Xiao Xiao hesitated and quietly asked Lily if leaving like this was really the right thing to do. Lily spun around and blamed her, saying she would never have been slapped if Xiao Xiao had stayed out of other people's business. Just then, strange sounds echoed from ahead and startled them both. They stared into the darkness, feeling that something was moving up ahead. Meanwhile, Liang Chuyin stayed where she was, grinding her teeth in anger over what the 2 girls had done. She believed they would have died long ago if Ye Zhongming had not risked his life to save them, yet they showed no gratitude at all. Suddenly, a horrifying scream echoed from the distance. Liang Chuyin recognized it at once as the voices of the 2 girls who had just left. But right behind her, a deep male voice suddenly said they had finally caught her. The blonde thug grabbed Liang Chuyin tightly. She struggled with all her strength, demanding to be released and asking who they were. The blue-haired thug stared at her with lust and said she was prettier than any woman they had ever seen. Liang Chuyin trembled in fear and asked what they wanted. The blonde thug grinned and said he would have her first. The blue-haired thug mocked her by saying the man with her had already died in the building, so waiting was pointless. Hearing that, Liang Chuyin froze in shock. She asked with a trembling voice if Yi Zhongming was really dead. At the same time, inside the building, Ye Zhongming let out a long breath. Zombie corpses covered the floor, and the battle had drained him badly. As he rolled a black crystal in his hand, he complained that picking them up one by one was too slow and wished they could auto-loot like in a game. Right then, hurried footsteps and desperate cries for help suddenly echoed from the stairway. Xiao Xiao ran while screaming for help in despair. Lily stayed close behind and shouted at her to stop yelling and keep running. The zombie horde was still right behind them, and their growls were getting closer. In the middle of the chaos, Xiao Xiao still turned back to help Lily. But in that instant, Lily shoved Xiao Xiao into the zombie horde as a distraction and sprinted away on her own. Xiao Xiao froze in disbelief and could only watch her friends back as she betrayed her. Lily ran while crying, repeating apology after apology. At that moment, she had only one thought left. She had to survive no matter what. As Lily reached the upper floor, she saw two men carrying Liang Chuyin away. The blonde thug laughed with a dirty grin and complained that the girl was heavy, but he wanted the first turn later. The blue-haired thug quickly warned him to keep his voice down, or fifth brother would hear. Seeing that scene, Lily stepped back in panic and tried to slip away unnoticed. But she was spotted anyway. The blue-haired thug laughed with excitement, saying another prey had walked right in, then rushed after her. The blonde thug shouted for him to hurry. Seeing only one guard left, Liang Chuyin seized the chance, bit the blonde thug's hand hard, and broke free. The blonde thug roared in pain and cursed furiously. He charged after her while yelling that, if he caught her again, she would pay for it. Liang Chuyin ran for her life, while shouting for help, until her voice turned hoarse. But it was not long before the blonde thug caught up, grabbed her tight, and sneered that he had finally caught her. With no one else to rely on, Liang Chuyin could only cry out Yi Zhongming's name in despair. The blonde thug burst into mocking laughter. He scoffed that Yi Zhongming was nobody worth mentioning. But before he could finish, a blade suddenly sliced through the air and pierced straight through his hand, sending blood everywhere. From the darkness behind him, Ye Zhongming calmly stepped forward with an icy presence. The moment Liang Chuyin saw him, relief washed over her. She rushed over, hugged him tightly, and called his name through sobs. Seeing him safe and alive, she was so relieved she nearly burst into tears. Meanwhile, the blonde thug clutched his injured hand and screamed in agony. He shouted that he worked for fifth brother and warned that anyone who touched him would pay the price. Ye Zhongming answered with nothing but an icy stare. Less than a second later, he rushed in with a powerful kick that sent the thug flying, then calmly replied with just 2 words, "No idea." He immediately asked where the other 2 girls were. Liang Chuyin quickly pointed across the hall and said they were still over there. Yi Zhongming told her to stay put and wait for him. Liang Chuyin nodded without hesitation. Not long after, Lily suddenly dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face as she kept apologizing to Xiao Xiao through sobs. She said she had watched Xiao Xiao get torn apart by the zombies and knew there was no chance she could have survived. Yi Zhongming coldly reminded her that this was already the 2nd time he had saved her life. If she had listened from the start, none of this would have happened. Terrified, Lily admitted she was wrong and promised never to ignore him again. Liang Chuyin glanced at the 2 unconscious men in the corner and quietly asked what they should do with them. Yi Zhongming calmly said to leave them for the zombies outside. Liang Chuyin agreed that it was a fitting end. They were simply reaping what they had sown. He then told everyone to head to the media center first, because he had already cleared out the zombies there, making it safe for now. Liang Chuyin agreed at once, while Lily was secretly shocked to learn he had cleared the entire area by himself. She suddenly realized Yi Zhongming was far stronger than she had ever imagined. Lily decided she would stick with him no matter what because it was her best chance to survive the apocalypse. Just then, Ye Zhongming turned back and told them to wait because he still had one more person to pick up. At the same time, in a room upstairs, Park Soo-young held a knife to her neck in panic, tears running down her face because she no longer wanted to live in this ruined world. To her, ending her own life seemed better than being torn apart by monsters. A loud crash suddenly came from outside the door. She flinched, tightened her grip on the knife, and tried to comfort herself by believing at least her 2 students had escaped. As the blade touched her skin, more tears rolled down her face. She sadly thought she had not even experienced her first love before her life had to end. At the last possible moment, Ye Zhongming was smashing the door from outside. After several failed kicks, he put all his strength into one final blow and sent the door crashing down. As soon as he stepped inside, he muttered that the door was tougher than expected, then rushed over to ask if Park Soo-young was hurt. Park Soo-young stood frozen in shock. The knife slipped from her hand as she stared at him in disbelief. Ye Zhongming gently reassured her that she did not need to be afraid anymore, because he had come back to take her with him. Unable to hold back her emotions, Park Soo-young threw her arms around him and burst into tears because she had thought the zombies had found her. She also admitted she had been afraid he would abandon her and never return, leaving Ye Zhongming speechless for a moment. Caught off guard by the hug, he stiffened awkwardly and could only tell her to calm down and let go of him first. Park Soo-young slowly released him, wiped away her tears, and gave a faint smile. She admitted she had believed she would die there and sincerely thanked Ye Zhongming. He calmly replied that there was no need for thanks, because getting her out safely came first. Outside in the courtyard, Liang Chuyin carefully picked up the black crystals scattered across the ground. She could not hide her curiosity and wondered what these strange stones were that made Ye Zhongming insist on collecting every single one. Not far away, Lily reluctantly did the same, while complaining about having to pick things off zombie corpses. Just thinking about it made her sick. Suddenly, a familiar voice called Lily's name from behind. She quickly turned around, and her face lit up the moment she recognized who it was. As soon as she saw Park Soo-young, Lily ran over, hugged her teacher tightly, and burst into tears of joy after realizing she was still alive. Park Soo-young immediately asked about Xiao Xiao with obvious concern. After hearing Lily explain everything that had happened, she stood there in shock, unable to believe so many heartbreaking things had happened in such a short time. Park Soo-young sighed and blamed herself for failing to protect Xiao Xiao. She gently patted Lily's head and said she knew her student had gone through a terrible shock as well. Just then, Liang Chuyin spoke up coldly. She said that if everyone had trusted Ye Zhongming from the beginning and stayed together, they would never have run into the zombies, and Xiao Xiao would still be alive. Lily immediately argued back. She insisted that if Ye Zhongming had rescued their teacher from the start, none of this tragedy would have happened, because someone with his strength could have easily saved all three of them. Park Soo-young quickly hugged her student and explained that the situation back then had been far more complicated. Saving their lives was already a huge favor, yet Lily still had the nerve to say something like that. Lily refused to back down. She argued that if someone truly wanted to save people, they would not let others die before talking about kindness and gratitude. Liang Chuyin snapped, pointed straight at Lily, and shouted that Lily was the one who abandoned the group, causing Xiao Xiao's death, yet she was blaming everyone else. Lily sneered and said Liang Chuyin was only reacting so strongly because she felt guilty. She even accused them of deliberately abandoning the others. A loud slap echoed through the room. Before Lily could finish her accusation, she was struck hard across the face. Ye Zhongming looked at her, coldly, and warned her to think before she spoke. If he had the strength to bring her out, he also had the strength to throw her right back. He calmly continued that in the apocalypse, no one could predict when danger would strike. Bringing another person meant taking on more risk. No one had the right to force others to save them, and he had never been obligated to do so. Park Soo-young quickly pulled Lily back and quietly told her that Ye Zhongming had already shown them great kindness by returning to save them, and they should all be grateful to their lifesaver. Seeing her attitude, Liang Chuyin quietly thought Park Soo-young was a truly reasonable person. She then asked Ye Zhongming why he was collecting those crystals. He simply told everyone to follow him first and said he would explain on the way. A while later, the group stopped in front of a three-colored roulette wheel. As Ye Zhongming examined it, he repeated what he had explained earlier and asked everyone to hand over every crystal they had collected. Liang Chuyin widened her eyes in surprise. She never imagined the black crystals could be used like this. Ye Zhongming only smiled and told them to wait a little longer to see the result. After saying that, he reached out and took the bag of crystals from Lily. Ye Zhongming quickly calculated in his mind. The three-colored roulette did not work by the number of crystals, but by whether their total energy reached the activation threshold. He poured every crystal into the roulette and wondered if 26 level 1 crystals would be enough for a single spin. A few seconds later, the roulette finally began to spin. Ye Zhongming quietly sighed in relief. It had finally activated. When the wheels stopped, the pointer landed on the red slot. He opened the pink box he had received, curious about what reward was inside. Judging by the color, he even guessed it might be a powerful combat class. The system notification rang out. Congratulations. You have obtained the Glory Craftsman class. After reading the description, he learned it was an apprentice support class that granted crafting-related abilities such as material refining, homogeneous enhancement, crafting, enchantment, and socketing. After reading everything, Zhongming could only smile helplessly. He had actually pulled a craftsman class, and it was the lowest rank. He clearly remembered that classes from the three-colored roulette were divided into two branches. Combat classes greatly boosted a user's fighting power, like the archer class with its exceptional shooting ability. Support classes, on the other hand, did not directly increase combat strength. Craftsman belonged to this branch and was divided into 4 ranks from lowest to highest: apprentice, basic, advanced, and master. Thinking about spending more than 20 crystals just to get an apprentice support class left him disappointed. It seemed his luck still had not improved. The 3 people behind him grew even more confused after hearing him mutter to himself. Lily impatiently asked to see the item he had drawn, while secretly regretting that all the crystals she had worked so hard to collect were gone. Zhongming had no intention of hiding it, and handed the item over for everyone to examine. Meanwhile, he carefully studied the badge in his own hand. 5 distinct colors were displayed on it, making it look especially unique. Lily looked over the information and asked in surprise why it looked just like a game status screen. Park Soo-young was also amazed to see its rank, traits, and abilities listed clearly. Liang Chu-yin noticed that the class possessed a total of 5 different skills. Her words suddenly gave Zhongming a new idea. He immediately snatched the information sheet back and carefully examined every detail once again. Just as he expected, it listed all 5 skills: material refining, homogeneous enhancement, crafting, enchantment, and socketing. After reading it several times, Zhongming finally understood. The 5 colors on the badge represented the 5 different abilities. That realization made him wonder if being reborn had changed not only his fate, but his luck as well. Noticing a few zombies still wandering nearby, Zhongming eagerly suggested hunting them for more crystals. The more roulette rewards they earned, the better their chances of surviving the apocalypse. The other 2 agreed immediately, while Lily stayed silent with a cold expression. At the same time, someone hidden nearby was secretly watching the group through a pair of binoculars. He could not help admiring Zhongming's strength. Fighting so many zombies alone and coming out unharmed was no simple feat. Fifth brother kept thinking, wondering if they were turning the media center into a shelter, which was why they had cleared every zombie in the area. But the more he thought about it, the less it made sense. Just then, his eyes stopped on a zombie corpse that seemed unusual. Seeing their boss lost in thought, one of his men quickly asked if he had discovered something important. Fifth brother immediately ordered all his men to gather, declaring that it was time for something big. Everyone looked confused, having no idea what was happening. A sly grin spread across his face as he claimed he had uncovered Zhongming's secret. Meanwhile, Liang Chu-yin let out a sigh of relief after the group finally collected a good number of crystals. Right after that, she held her stomach and complained that she had not eaten anything all day and was starving. Hearing that, Zhongming called her over and handed her some dry rations. Liang Chu-yin accepted them shyly and thanked him. Zhongming also mentioned that he had checked the restrooms, and the clean water supply was still working, meaning the school's reserve system had not been damaged. After saying that, he opened the backpack he had been carrying. Inside was enough food to last about 3 days. He handed the entire backpack to Liang Chu-yin and asked her to keep it safe. She looked surprised and asked if he really trusted her with something so important. Zhongming seriously explained that, under the current circumstances, those supplies were as valuable as their lives, so they had to be protected at all costs. Holding the backpack, Liang Chu-yin quietly felt the trust he had placed in her. Even so, she admitted, she still felt a little nervous. Zhongming simply replied that he had chosen to trust her. He then announced that the media center would serve as their temporary shelter. Everyone else should stay behind and keep collecting crystals while he went to find the key. Lily anxiously asked if he was planning to go alone again. She pressed him, asking if he was really going to leave the whole group behind and act on his own. Without turning around, Zhongming replied that bringing everyone along would only slow him down. He needed to gather more food and supplies, and would return soon. Lily still looked uneasy, and asked who would protect them if zombies suddenly appeared. He coldly answered that he had no obligation to protect anyone. At the same time, he quietly activated the crafting ability of his Glory Craftsman class. He added that if zombies really showed up, everyone would have to fight for their own survival. As he spoke, he quickly crafted a wooden spear strong enough for self-defense. Handing it over, he stressed that anyone who could not protect themselves would only end up dead. When someone tried to step closer, Ye Zhongming immediately shouted for them to stay back. Park Soo-young nodded in agreement, saying they could not rely on others forever and had to learn to protect themselves. She turned to Lily and reminded her that the world was no longer the same. From now on, she could not keep depending on her family or her teacher and had to become strong enough to survive on her own. Ye Zhongming handed the two women wooden spears for protection. Park Soo-young hesitated for a moment before quietly thanking him. As he prepared to leave, Liang Chuyin quickly called out, asking him to make sure he came back safely. Ye Zhongming did not look back. He simply raised a hand in response and told everyone not to worry and to take good care of themselves. After leaving the media center, he walked down a tree-lined path while pinpointing where the secret realm key would appear. After rounding a corner, the construction site of the school's new campus came into view. One glance was enough for him to know he had found the right place. Given the current chaos, he guessed almost no one would come near this deserted construction site. Suddenly, a figure fell from above and landed right in front of him. Ye Zhongming rushed forward and caught the person. The moment they saw each other's faces, both of them froze in surprise. But only a moment later, the young woman's eyes filled with caution. She quickly jumped back and put some distance between herself and Ye Zhongming. A second later, she suddenly burst forward at full speed. In just a few moves, she locked his arm and twisted it behind his back. Ye Zhongming winced in pain and asked why she was attacking the man who had just saved her. The young woman, Mo Ye, kept her guard up and demanded to know who he was. She also questioned why he was there. Ye Zhongming gave no answer and seized the opening to turn the tables. In the blink of an eye, he subdued Mo Ye and wrapped one hand around her throat. Pinning her against the wall, he coldly demanded her identity and asked why she was here. Mo Ye angrily shouted that she was a security officer and ordered him to let her go. The moment he heard that, Ye Zhongming released her, slightly surprised. Rubbing her sore neck, Mo Ye remarked that his fighting skills were impressive and that he had clearly received years of formal training. Ye Zhongming replied that he had trained for nearly 10 years. Inwardly, he remembered the brutal training from his previous life. Hearing that, Mo Ye was surprised that he had trained even longer than she had. She was about to ask more about his identity, but a bullet suddenly ripped through the air toward them. Reacting instantly, Ye Zhongming pulled Mo Ye to the ground and avoided the shot. The two of them quickly moved behind cover. Ye Zhongming frowned, wondering who would open fire the moment they met. Mo Ye explained that those people were hunting her down. She had fled to this construction site to shake them off. Ye Zhongming was even more surprised, since she was a security officer. Mo Ye calmly replied that her position was exactly why she had become their target. The people chasing her were escaped convicts. Hearing that, Ye Zhongming immediately recalled his previous life. Many of the most ruthless forces during the apocalypse had been led by escaped criminals, and once society collapsed, nothing held back their brutality. He had no intention of showing mercy to people like that. As gunfire continued to echo, Ye Zhongming asked how they had gotten so many firearms. Mo Ye answered that they had looted the entire security force armory. At that moment, 3 armed criminals swaggered toward the place where the two were hiding. One of them ordered his partner, Dali, to flank from another direction and force Mo Ye into the open. Dali nodded and asked what to do with the man who was with her. Lao Qian coldly gave a single order: kill them all. Dali licked his lips excitedly, grinning as he said it had been far too long since he had enjoyed taking a life with a gun. But just then, a gunshot shattered the tense silence. The bullet pierced straight through Dali's forehead, leaving a hole in the center of his head. Watching the scene, Ye Zhongming thought that today, he would not be the one getting his head blown apart. The last thug panicked and shouted that the enemy had guns too. Lao Qian immediately ordered non-stop, suppressing fire to keep the two from raising their heads. He cursed Mo Ye through gritted teeth and swore he would kill her today. The gang unleashed a hail of bullets toward the bushes where the pair had been hiding. They kept firing while slowly advancing on the target. But when they reached the bushes, both men froze in shock. No one was there. Lao Qian angrily shouted, asking where they had disappeared. At that moment, Ye Zhongming's voice came from above. He was standing directly over them and coldly told Lao Qian to look up. The instant Lao Qian raised his head, Ye Zhongming fired and killed him on the spot. Seeing his two partners fall one after another, the last criminal let out a furious roar. But before he could react, Mo Ye drove a powerful punch into his stomach, making him double over. She followed with a crushing uppercut straight to his face. Blood and broken teeth flew everywhere, leaving his face horribly mangled. The criminal dropped to his knees, trembling as he desperately begged for mercy. But Ye Zhongming showed no hesitation and fired one more shot, ending his life. Mo Ye angrily demanded to know why he had killed the man after he had already surrendered. Ye Zhongming remained silent and offered no explanation. A moment later, Mo Ye checked the pulses of the three criminals and confirmed they were all dead. With blood covering her hands, she looked up and asked why he had insisted on killing the last man when he could no longer fight back. Ye Zhongming calmly replied that they were escaped convicts. He had merely finished the job the security force had left unfinished. He then asked if she truly believed those men would have sincerely repented and spared her. Mo Ye immediately asked what he meant. It plainly, there were no laws left. People like them only robbed, killed, and spread more evil if they stayed alive. He told Mo Ye not to let mercy become an excuse for monsters to hurt more people. He also revealed his ex-girlfriend Bai Shishi died at the hands of people just like them in his previous life. That was why he never showed mercy to people like this. After hearing him, Mo Ye quietly thought it over. His methods were harsh, but his words were not wrong. She could not help wondering how someone as young as Ye Zhongming could kill without the slightest hesitation. What had he gone through to become so cold? Meanwhile, a blonde thug rushed over and told Fifth Brother that the two captives downstairs had been bitten to death by zombies before he arrived. Fifth Brother spun around in shock and could not believe they were both dead. The blonde thug urged him to stop provoking Ye Zhongming because he suspected the man had serious martial arts skills. Fifth Brother ignored him, punched him in the face, and shouted that once Ye Zhongming was dead, all the women and supplies would belong to them, and the whole area would be theirs. Then Fifth Brother asked if everyone had gathered. Holding his swollen cheek, the blonde thug said they were all waiting in the main hall. Not long after, the room door opened. Fifth Brother walked in and loudly asked if everyone was present. The crowd answered with a united shout. Fifth Brother laughed and declared that an outsider had invaded their turf and gotten two of their brothers killed. The blonde thug quietly reminded him they had actually died to zombies, not by Ye Zhongming's hands. Without another word, Fifth Brother punched the blonde thug again and ordered him to shut up. He then said it did not matter how those two died. Before they had to hide, but now zombies were everywhere, and no one could control them anymore. Hearing that, the gang exchanged looks as excitement spread across their faces. Fifth Brother kept firing them up, saying this was their chance to rule freely, and no brat would ruin their plans. According to him, anyone who stood in their way would end up dead. The gang cheered loudly, hailed Fifth Brother as their leader, and swore to avenge the fallen. Seeing everyone's morale rise, Fifth Brother ordered them to move out and deal with Ye Zhongming. He suddenly pointed at one man and called him back. The blonde thug pointed at himself in confusion and asked what he needed to do. Fifth Brother gave him a sinister smile, leaned close, and said an even more important task was waiting for him. Time slowly passed as evening shadows spread across the area. Seeing Ye Zhongming still searching, Mo Ye asked what he was looking for. While scanning the area, he explained that he was searching for a very important key and had to find it before today ended. Mo Ye asked what the key looked like. Ye Zhongming admitted he had never seen it himself. Still, he believed its appearance would be unique enough to recognize at a glance. Hearing that, Mo Ye joined the search, though she worried the area was too large and darkness was closing in. Ye Zhongming thought to himself that the darker it got, the better, because the secret realm key would emit a faint glow after nightfall. Just then, Mo Ye suddenly shouted that she thought she had found it and called him over. Ye Zhongming praised her for having the sharp instincts of a police officer and finding things so quickly, but after taking a closer look, he shook his head. Mo Ye asked in surprise if that strange object was still not the right one. Ye Zhongming helplessly explained that although it was unusual, it was not the key he needed. Mo Ye casually tossed the object away, disappointed that it was a false alarm. None of them knew the real key had landed right in front of the claws of a creature with glowing green eyes. Mo Ye suddenly looked ahead and asked if there was a dog over there. Even Ye Zhongming was surprised. She pointed toward the spot and insisted she could clearly see an animal. Ye Zhongming narrowed his eyes and suspected it might be a zombie beast. Mo Ye stood by her judgment and said it was a dog. She had worked with police dogs before and knew they were easy to work with if handled properly. As the creature slowly came closer, its full appearance was finally revealed. It bared its fangs and growled fiercely. Then it suddenly charged at them with incredible speed. Ye Zhongming's expression changed at once as a bad feeling hit him. Both he and Mo Ye locked their eyes on the creature rushing toward them. One glance was enough for Yi Zhongming to recognize it as a level 2 mutant dog. Without hesitation, he drew his gun. He fired several shots, but the mutant dog was so fast it dodged every bullet. As it closed in, Ye Zhongming thought they were finished. Mo Ye also cried out in alarm. The dog's sharp fangs were only inches from Yi Zhongming's face, but at that exact moment, it suddenly stopped. A second later, all its hostility vanished and was replaced with unexpected joy. The dog kept licking Yi Zhongming's face and wagging its tail while rubbing against him. He pushed it away in total confusion. Watching the scene, Mo Ye laughed and guessed the dog was trying to win his favor. Yi Zhongming said nothing and quietly observed the dog. His eyes stayed fixed on its tail, as if confirming something. Then he froze and muttered, "Wait." A distant memory suddenly came back. He remembered walking home as an ordinary student. Back then, he heard an angry drunk yelling after a dog stole his food. A small puppy was trembling beside a wall while enduring the man's insults. The furious drunk even kicked at it and yelled for it to get lost. The little dog dodged the kick and ran away in panic. The drunk refused to stop. He threw his liquor bottle and chased after it, shouting that he would beat the dog to death. The bottle struck the puppy, making it cry out in pain. Even so, it kept dragging its injured body forward to survive. But the drunk caught up and stomped hard on its tail. He laughed cruelly, believing the dog had nowhere left to run. Seeing that, Ye Zhongming rushed over to stop him. The drunk turned around with an annoyed look. He glared at Yi Zhongming and demanded to know why he was interfering. Thinking quickly, Ye Zhongming lied that the dog had a serious disease and had bitten him before, leaving his arm swollen for days. He added that the dog was covered with germs and parasites, and touching it would only bring trouble. When the drunk still tried to kick it, Ye Zhongming warned that its fur was filthy and would leave a terrible smell on anyone who touched it. While the drunk hesitated in disgust, the little dog seized the chance and ran away. Only after seeing it reach safety did Yi Zhongming let out a sigh of relief. The drunk lost interest in chasing it, cursed a few more times, and walked away. Yi Zhongming even politely bowed as the man left. Left alone, Yi Zhongming smiled, feeling he had done one good deed by saving the poor puppy. Just then, he felt something rubbing against his leg. Looking down, he saw the little dog had quietly followed him and was clinging to his leg. Yi Zhongming knelt down and patted its head. Seeing its bleeding tail filled him with sympathy. He took a cookie from his pocket and gave it to the puppy, telling it to eat something before it got too hungry. The little dog immediately grabbed the cookie and devoured it. Yi Zhongming said with regret that although he liked the dog, his family could not keep pets. In the end, all he could do was wave goodbye to the little puppy. Those happy memories with the dog flashed through his mind one after another. Overcome with emotion, Ye Zhongming stepped closer and kept asking, "Di Huang, is that really you?" Mo Yi asked in surprise if this was the dog he used to know. She found it amazing that it still recognized him after mutating, though the name sounded unusual. Yi Zhongming smiled and explained that it had been a stray he used to feed. It was round like a yellow ball, so he named it Di Huang. Reunited with its old friend, Di Huang would not stop nuzzling him until Yi Zhongming laughed and told it to stop licking him. Watching the reunion, Mo Ye realized that beneath Ye Zhongming's cold exterior was a surprisingly gentle side. Meanwhile, at the media center, the three girls were still sitting together. Lily impatiently asked Liang Chuyin if there was any food left in the backpack. Liang Chuyin calmly replied that everything was gone. Lily immediately lost her temper, accusing Liang Chuyin of lying because she had seen meat in the bag earlier. She called her selfish for refusing to share, and seeing the tension rise, Park Su-ah quickly stepped in to calm them down. Lily had already eaten more than enough. If she did not like it, she could give everything back. Without another word, Lily suddenly lunged for the backpack. Liang Chuyin quickly hugged it tightly and demanded to know what she was doing. Lily shamelessly replied that if she would not hand it over, she would take it herself. Liang Chuyin held the bag against her chest. Yi Zhongming had specifically told her to guard it, so she refused to let anyone touch it. Lily immediately exploded in anger. She claimed there was no need to fear Yi Zhongming since he was not here, and demanded that all the food be divided equally. Park Su-ah quickly stepped in and urged Lily not to make such a scene over a little food because Liang Chuyin had never planned to keep it all for herself. That only made Lily even angrier. She insulted Liang Chuyin and mocked her for guarding the food like she was saving it for a dog. Liang Chuyin sighed to herself. It seemed she had been kind to the wrong person and should never have shared her food with Lily. Park Su-ah gently reminded her that the supplies did not belong to them in the first place, and they should be grateful that someone was willing to share. Lily only sneered, saying empty morals could never fill a hungry stomach. Lily slowly decided to steal the entire bag. She even believed Yi Zhongming was probably dead and would never return. At that very moment, somewhere else, Ye Zhongming suddenly let out a loud sneeze. Mo Yi asked if he was feeling sick, but Yi Zhongming only smiled and said someone was probably talking about him. Then the two of them and the little dog continued deeper into the darkness. Mo Yi quietly said they were lucky to have a flashlight, because otherwise they could barely see anything. Yi Zhongming told her to keep the flashlight, since the item he was searching for would be easier to spot in the dark. At that same moment, a mutated creature quietly appeared. It silently watched the group's every move. As Yi Zhongming walked, his hand accidentally brushed against something, giving off a faint glow, immediately catching his attention. Without hesitation, he eagerly started digging at the spot. Before long, a key buried deep underground emerged. Yi Zhongming could not hide his excitement and burst into laughter, knowing he had finally found the secret realm key. All his hard work had finally paid off. Mo Yi smiled and teased that judging by his face alone, finding that key must have been incredibly difficult. But the celebration ended almost instantly when a mutated creature suddenly attacked and wrapped its tentacles tightly around Mo Ye. It opened a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth and prepared to swallow its prey whole. Mo Ye froze in terror and could only stare at the monster before her. Yi Zhongming immediately rushed in to save her and sliced off one of the monster's tentacles. His killing intent erupted as his eyes slowly turned crimson. Then he activated his skill and shouted, "Earth Enhancement, Blade Edge 1. Yi Zhongming silently thanked his enhancement ability. Without it, his blade would not have been able to pierce the monster's tough hide. Mo Yi stared at the creature in shock as she realized it was a gigantic mutant lizard. The monster's razor-sharp claws slashed straight toward him. With lightning-fast reflexes, Yi Zhongming twisted aside and narrowly dodged the attack. Di Huang instantly charged in and bit down hard on the mutant lizard's claw to hold it back. The fierce struggle between the dog and the mutant lizard quickly turned brutal. Blood sprayed everywhere as the mutant lizard roared in agony. Yi Zhongming panted heavily and wiped the sweat from his forehead. The battle with the giant monster had drained most of his strength. Even so, he tightened his grip on his weapon and shouted another challenge, ready if the monster dared to attack again. Suddenly, Di Huang ran in front of him and blocked his path. Yi Zhongming called out in confusion, unable to understand why the dog had done that. An instant later, his face filled with worry. Yi Zhongming urgently yelled for Di Huang to move, but the dog only raised its head and let out a fierce growl. The two beasts stood face to face, with their eyes locked on each other as the tension reached its peak. Watching the scene, Yi Zhongming shouted in panic. The moment Di Huang heard its name, the mutant lizard whipped its massive tail straight at the dog. Refusing to back down, Di Huang lunged forward and clamped down on the mutant lizard's tail. But its steel-like scales were so tough that the bite barely did any damage. The monster immediately struck back with a powerful swipe. Di Huang was sent flying and crashed hard onto the ground. Even while injured, the dog forced itself back up and bared its fangs with a determined growl. Meanwhile, the mutant lizard slowly advanced toward the group. Seeing the danger, Ye Zhongming charged forward without hesitation. He tried to stop the monster with his dagger and create an opening. But before he could attack, the creature's sweeping strike knocked him away. The mutant lizard opened its mouth full of razor-sharp teeth and prepared to tear him apart. Just as disaster seemed unavoidable, a sharp weapon suddenly sliced through the air. It flew straight toward the mutant lizard's head. Caught off guard, the monster froze and instinctively shut its mouth to defend itself. At that moment, Mo Ye stood ready with her blade, radiating overwhelming confidence. She faced the mutant lizard head-on, without taking a single step back. Within moments, the fatal wound to its head brought the giant monster crashing to the ground. Yi Zhongming let out a sigh of relief and praised her without holding back, saying she truly lived up to being a police officer. Hearing that, Mo Ye simply glanced back at him. Yi Zhongming then knelt down, patted Di Huang's head, and praised the little dog for bravely protecting its master. As the excited dog rushed toward him, he hurriedly tried to stop it. Yi Zhongming laughed helplessly and begged for mercy as Di Huang kept licking his face. Hidden nearby, two mysterious figures silently watched everything. Once the dust settled, they quietly disappeared without a trace. Yi Zhongming carefully examined the dead mutant lizard's head. Then he drove his knife through its skull, searching for something inside. Mo Yi watched in confusion and asked what he was looking for. Yi Zhongming opened his hand and showed her the item he had just taken out. Mo Yi looked surprised. He explained that it was a magic crystal, one of the most valuable resources in the zombie world. She curiously asked if the magic crystal contained magical power. Yi Zhongming nodded and said it was even more valuable than ordinary magic. Mo Yi immediately asked how to use it, but he smiled and asked if she really wanted to know. She urged him to stop teasing and explain. Seizing the chance, Ye Zhongming made a deal. If she wanted the answer, she first had to agree to one condition. Mo Ye instantly refused, and sarcastically remarked that he was pretty bold to bargain with a police officer. If necessary, she would uncover the magic crystal's secret herself. Yi Zhongming was left speechless. He quietly thought every woman had a different personality. If it had been Xing Fei or Liang Chuyin, they would probably have hesitated instead of rejecting him so directly. Mo Yi turned to leave, saying he had already found the key, so it was time for them to part ways. Yi Zhongming groaned that their partnership was ending almost as soon as it had begun. After letting out a long sigh, he hesitantly said he had one more proposal. Mo Yi told him to go ahead. Yi Zhongming suggested they form a team, because the outside world was too dangerous, and having a reliable partner would greatly improve their chances of survival. Mo Ye fell silent in thought, while Ye Zhongming lowered his head, feeling he had humbled himself more than expected. Suddenly, Mo Ye's eyes lit up, leaving him surprised. She reached out her hand and agreed to work together, saying that, although he was a little strange, she believed he was not a bad person. Yi Zhongming immediately shook her hand and introduced himself. Mo Ye smiled in return and introduced herself as well. Elsewhere, a lifeless body lay curled up on the cold ground. Suddenly, a hand shot out and grabbed the gun lying beside the corpse. Its owner excitedly whispered that it was a real gun. But a red-haired man immediately covered his mouth and warned him to stay quiet if he wanted to stay alive. Then he pointed ahead and signaled everyone to move silently along the side path. Two men, one holding a knife and the other a gun, fixed murderous stares on Yi Zhongming and Mo Yi. The man with the gun shouted for them to stay still, while the red-haired thug threatened them to raise their hands if they wanted to live. Hearing that, the man in the blue shirt angrily scolded his companion. He reminded him that Fifth Brother had ordered them to kill the targets, while the red-haired man awkwardly scratched his head and admitted he had misspoken. In their eyes, Ye Zhongming was the man responsible for the deaths of two of their brothers, and today he would pay with his own life. They were criminals. The man in the blue shirt aimed his gun and shouted as he prepared to pull the trigger, but he froze when the gun did not fire at all. Confused, he asked if the gun was fake. The red-haired thug snapped that he had not even switched off the safety. The man in blue blankly asked what the safety was, leaving the red-haired thug speechless. He cursed at him for never watching an action movie, only to be asked how to turn it off. Unable to take it anymore, the red-haired thug snatched the gun away and called him an idiot. The man in blue hurriedly explained that he had only been a security guard and had never handled a real gun before. Just then, Di Huanghuang suddenly charged forward, making the man in blue scream in panic. Without hesitation, the dog bit down hard on the wrist holding the gun. The man in blue turned pale as he screamed for help. Lao Dao's face changed at the sight. He said it was a zombie dog, and anyone bitten by it had almost no chance of surviving. While the enemies were in chaos, Mo Ye rushed in. The moment Lao Dao turned his head, Mo Yi drove a powerful elbow straight into his face. Without wasting the opening, she slammed him to the ground. Lao Dao rolled several times before collapsing flat on the floor. Blood poured from his mouth after the devastating blow. Watching everything unfold, Yi Zhongming was secretly amazed. He decided it was best never to make an enemy of Mo Ye. A little later, Ye Zhongming demanded to know who Fifth Brother was and why he had sent people to kill him. The man in blue had completely lost his nerve and kept begging for his boss to save him. Yi Zhongming coldly warned that if he did not want to bleed to death, he had better tell them everything about Fifth Brother. Elsewhere, one of Fifth Brother's men asked if they could stop for something to eat. At the same time, Yi Zhongming was still fighting zombies to save people. Fifth Brother immediately cursed at his men for trying to slack off and ordered everyone to keep working. The blonde thug complained that they had been up all night and were now collecting useless items from zombie corpses. Fifth Brother sternly reminded them to seize every opportunity. The blonde thug muttered that this was not a video game with loot drops, and searching corpses was just a waste of time. That earned him another painful smack from Fifth Brother, along with an order to get back to work. Fifth Brother had already reached his own conclusion. He believed the glowing crystals inside zombie heads could not have appeared by chance. Besides, many nearby zombie corpses had already been stripped of their crystals, proving they held some special value he had yet to discover. Meanwhile, deep inside an office at the media center, Lily stayed awake all night without closing her eyes. She secretly watched Liang Chuyan's every move. After waiting for a while, Lily quietly stood up. Then she slowly crept behind Liang Chuyan without making a sound. A sinister smile slowly spread across her face. She was gripping a sharp piece of broken glass in her hand. The entire room was shrouded in darkness, with only a faint candle casting a weak glow. Lily gritted her teeth in hatred, believing Liang Chuyan only dared to look down on her because she had Ye Zhongming backing her. No matter what, she was determined to steal the precious food supplies. Just as Lily was about to act, Park Soo-ah suddenly woke up, sat upright, and asked, "Lily, what are you doing?" Hearing her voice, Lily quickly hid the glass behind her back and awkwardly claimed she was just going to the bathroom. After saying that, she immediately turned and hurried toward the restroom. But one question kept echoing in her mind, refusing to leave her in peace. The sound of running water filled the room as she silently stared at her reflection in the mirror. Tears and mucus streamed down her face. Lily felt both hurt and confused, unable to understand why those people could trust others so easily. In her eyes, once the world had become this cruel, no one should ever let someone else control anything related to survival. Lily became even more convinced that Ye Zhongming and Liang Chuyan had already started guarding against her. In this world, only those who relied on themselves could survive, while someone as kind as Park Soo-ah would eventually suffer. Just then, strange noises suddenly came from outside. The sound woke everyone else. Lily rushed out and anxiously asked what had happened. Park Soo-ah guessed that someone was trying to break down the door. Hearing that, Lily immediately panicked and demanded to know what was going on. Liang Chuyan quickly checked the door and tried to calm everyone, saying the zombies would never break in. But the moment she finished speaking, the door crashed down, and she cried out in terror. Realizing the people outside were not zombies, Park Soo-ah nervously asked who they were. Loud pounding continued from outside the entrance. Within seconds, the force against the door grew even stronger. Lily turned pale and screamed that the door was about to give way. As the entrance burst open, a group of armed men stormed inside. The blue-haired thug grinned smugly and said there really were a few young women hiding inside. Park Soo-ah trembled as she asked what they wanted. When one of the men approached, Liang Chuyan nervously asked who they were and why they had come. Another thug roughly grabbed Park Soo-ah's chin and looked her over with a disgusting grin, telling her to guess what they wanted. Park Soo-ah burst into tears and begged them not to hurt her. The thug only laughed harder, saying she was exactly his type. Suddenly, the white-haired thug noticed Lily had escaped and immediately ordered everyone to chase her. But a woman in the group reminded him that Fifth Brother had only ordered them to deal with Ye Zhongming and leave the girls alone. Dongs brushed the warning aside and said Fifth Brother was not here, so he was in charge now. Since these girls were Ye Zhongming's companions, there was no reason to show mercy. The woman could only nod fearfully. A bald thug volunteered to chase Lily, but Dong Zi immediately called him back and warned him not to act on his own. The man in the blue shirt grabbed Park Soo-ah and laughed, asking if she remembered him. She tried to pull away while he proudly said he had once been a student at this school and had attended her class. Park Soo-ah struggled to remember before calling out his name. At that moment, he began groping her and laughed that back in school he had only paid attention to her body instead of his studies. Meanwhile, another thug pinned Liang Chuyan's arms while his companion carefully studied her face. He quickly called Dong Zi over and said the girl looked just like a famous internet celebrity. After taking a closer look, they realized she was Liang Chuyan, a once well-known third-year actress, making her even more frightened. Meanwhile, Ye Zhongming had tied up the two captured thugs and left Di Huangwang to guard them. Mo Yi asked what he planned to do next. Ye Zhongming coldly replied that since Fifth Brother wanted him dead, he would take the fight directly to him. Mo Ye advised returning to the police station first, because Fifth Brother had too many men to underestimate. Ye Zhongming calmly answered that Mo Ye should not expect too much, because the outside world had already fallen into complete chaos. He said he had never chosen to run away, and this time would be no different. He would face Fifth Brother head-on. Mo Yi nodded and agreed to go with him, believing they would have a better chance together. She then asked why he had gone to such lengths to find the secret realm key. Ye Zhongming explained that it was the key to humanity's future. Mo Yi sighed softly and admitted that explanation was still too vague to understand. Ye Zhongming slowly explained that the zombies, the mutated monsters, and even the magic crystals all proved the world had changed beyond anything they once knew. After hearing that, Mo Yi asked when they would finally use the key. Yi Zhongming confidently answered that the time would come only after both of them became much stronger. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the bald thug kept chasing Lily without letting up. As he ran after her, he shouted for her to stop immediately. He sneered and told his little prey to wait until he caught her. He threatened to tie up Lily's hands and feet so she would never escape again. Lily suddenly realized she had reached a dead end. She desperately tried to open a door, but nothing worked, and her despair grew. The bald thug walked closer with a cruel grin and mocked her, asking how much farther she thought she could run. Lily could only back away and beg him not to come any closer. He leaned close and spoke with deep resentment. In the past, every girl had looked down on him, mocked him, and avoided him. But now everything had changed. He believed her fate was in his hands. Lily quickly denied it, swore she would never leave him, and insisted she had never laughed at him. The bald thug stayed silent for a moment, before coldly asking why he should believe her. Lily forced out a smile and explained that she was not like those shallow girls, and was just an ordinary student. She even flattered him by saying he looked incredibly cool, and promised that if he spared her, she would do anything he asked. Her looks were only average, but she sure knew how to talk. Even so, he insisted he could never betray Dongzi. Then he forced Lily to go back with him to meet Dongzi. Lily broke down in tears and begged to be released because she knew going back meant certain death. The bald guy ignored her pleas and said she would not die while he was around, then urged her to keep moving. But behind her back, Lily quietly hid a sharp weapon fragment. As soon as they returned, the bald guy happily told Dongzi that he had brought her back. But the scene before her left Lily frozen in shock, unable to understand what had happened. Fa Shuying stared blankly ahead, her spirit nearly broken. Her clothes had also been torn to shreds. The bald guy laughed and mocked that the others had gone too far, and even the teacher's clothes were completely ruined. Dongzi explained with annoyance that Fa Shuying fought back fiercely and even bit Dabai across the face until he would not stop bleeding, ruining everyone's mood. Dabai could only clutch his bloody face and groan in pain. He complained that he never expected Fa Shuying to be so tough. Just then, Lily rushed over and called out to her in panic. The bald guy immediately pointed at Lily and told Dongzi he had brought her back. Dongzi looked at Lily in confusion and asked what happened. The bald guy quickly claimed that she wanted to join their group. Dongzi laughed with satisfaction and praised Lily for knowing who was strong and who was weak. The bald guy eagerly added that he would never hide such good news from him. Then the bald guy told Lily to wipe away her tears and step forward to face Dongzi. The moment she arrived, he signaled for her to greet the boss. Lily could only tremble as she greeted Dongzi. Dongzi asked once more if she truly wanted to join them. Lily nodded at once, begged to be accepted, and promised to do anything for the group. Dongzi agreed, but demanded proof of her loyalty. He pointed at Liang Chuyin and ordered Lily to deal with her own friend. Liang Chuyin angrily called Lily an ungrateful traitor. Yi Zhongming had saved her many times, yet she turned her back on her benefactor. Before Liang Chuyin could finish speaking, Lily slapped her hard across the face. Tears streamed down Liang Chuyin's face as she choked out that Lily was worse than an animal. Dongzi clapped with delight and urged Lily to keep going. He said he loved watching proud girls get humiliated like this. Lily coldly replied that she and Liang Chuyin had always been enemies. Today she would finally settle the score. Liang Chuyin could only tremble and whisper that Lily now looked like a monster in her eyes. The men around them folded their arms and watched the torture with eager smiles. Lily grabbed Liang Chuyin by the hair and yanked hard, forcing her to raise her head. She stared into Liang Chuyin's face and gritted her teeth, saying the more she looked, the more she hated it. Only then did Dongzi tell her to stop. He said that was enough to prove her loyalty, and Lily was officially accepted into the group. Dongzi then told the bald guy that Lily would be under his watch from now on. He ordered him to keep a close eye on her and make sure she caused no trouble. The bald guy immediately bowed and accepted the order. He hugged Lily excitedly and happily declared that she was now his woman. Right after that, Dongzi gathered all his men because he had something important to announce. He reminded everyone that they had all served Fourth Brother before. Only after Fourth Brother turned into a zombie did they have no choice but to follow Fifth Brother. The men immediately joined in and mocked Fifth Brother. They said Fourth Brother had both status and strength, while Fifth Brother was nothing but a schemer who kept every reward for himself. Dongzi continued, saying Fifth Brother only sent his men out to risk their lives, while secretly doing his own thing and hiding everything from them. He said he could not tolerate it any longer. He believed that in this chaotic world, there was no reason to keep serving someone else. The man in gray and Da Bai both agreed. They said fifth brother had never truly cared about his men, so from today on they would only be loyal to Dongzi. Hearing those words, Dongzi let out a cold smile and thought that fifth brother's end had finally come. A little later, the man in gray carefully cracked open the door and quietly checked outside. After looking around, he returned and quietly told Dongzi that the house was empty. Fifth brother had not returned yet, and their plan could still move forward. After hearing the report, Dongzi burst into laughter. He knew this was the perfect chance and immediately ordered everyone to move inside. Just as he was enjoying the moment, a bone suddenly flew over and smacked him right in the face. Caught off guard, Dongzi clutched his face and roared in anger, demanding to know who dared throw a bone at him. Zhongming calmly stepped out and said they had just finished eating when Dongzi showed up. It looked like luck was still on their side today. Seeing the chicken bone on the floor, Dongzi instantly realized it came from the food his men had been saving, only for the enemy to eat every last bite. Rubbing his aching face, he glared at Zhongming and demanded to know who he was and why he was there. Zhongming gave a faint smile and reminded him that Dongzi's group had been trying to kill him. Since they wanted him so badly, he came to them instead. Dongzi frowned as he realized this had to be the man fifth brother was desperate to eliminate. That also meant Lao Dao had probably failed. Zhongming bluntly said the two assassins sent after him were already dead, and now it was Dongzi's turn. Hearing that, the man in gray rushed forward, eager to attack, but Dongzi stayed calm, raised a hand to stop him, and ordered the hostage to be brought out first. A few minutes later, the man in gray returned and reported that the hostage had arrived. Dongzi pointed at Liang Chuyin with a sinister grin and asked Zhongming if she was his teammate. Mo Yi could not hold back any longer and cursed them for using a hostage to threaten others. Dongzi sneered and mocked Zhongming for standing still because his companion was in their hands. He even mentioned that Liang Chuyin was once a famous campus beauty and sarcastically claimed Zhongming must have worked hard to win her over. Contrary to what Dongzi expected, Zhongming calmly replied that he and Liang Chuyin were not lovers. Dongzi refused to believe it because he had seen them fighting side by side. Zhongming coldly explained that they were simply working together to survive this world. His eyes turned icy as he warned Dongzi that if he kept using those filthy hands and that foul mouth, neither would remain for long. The moment he finished speaking, Zhongming shot forward like lightning and stabbed straight at Dongzi's vital spot while shouting for everyone else to run. Dongzi screamed in pain after being stabbed, cursed furiously, and shouted that Zhongming had a death wish. He immediately ordered all his men to charge and kill Zhongming on the spot. Zhongming quickly told his teammates to fall back and asked Mo Yi to protect Liang Chuyin. Dongzi kept roaring with rage, urging all his men to attack together. Da Bai was the first to rush into the fight. He threw a straight punch at Zhongming, but Zhongming easily leaned aside to dodge it. Zhongming instantly fired back with a crushing punch that sent blood and teeth flying from Da Bai's mouth. Seeing that, Dongzi exploded with fury and yelled at his men to stop attacking one by one and rush him together. In the blink of an eye, they formed a tight circle and sealed off every escape route. Zhongming calmly glanced behind him to judge the situation. A confident smile appeared on his lips as he coldly taunted them to come at him if they dared. A man in gray immediately charged forward to attack first. But before his strike could land, Zhongming had already slipped aside with ease. Seizing the perfect moment, he grabbed the man's arm. Then he twisted it violently behind his back without mercy. The unbearable pain made the man scream in agony. At that moment, another man suddenly grabbed Zhongming from behind and proudly shouted that he had caught him. But Zhongming instantly locked a hand around his neck. Then he hurled him hard onto the floor. As Zhongming walked toward the long-haired man, the frightened thug kept backing away. Mukun shoved the long-haired man aside and confidently declared that he would handle it himself. He pointed a knife at Zhongming, while Zhongming realized his opponent planned to rely on a weapon. Before Mukun could react, Zhongming rushed in at incredible speed and drove a heavy punch into his back. The brutal hit left Mukun drenched in sweat from the pain. Even though he struggled back to his feet, he immediately spun around and slashed his knife with deadly intent. But Zhongming was much faster and easily dodged the blade. He then struck his opponent's wrist, sending the knife flying to the ground. Zhongming quickly picked it up and hid it behind his back. Right after that, he took full advantage of his superior speed. A powerful kick slammed into Mukun's head and knocked him out cold, while the long-haired man dropped to his knees and begged for mercy. Just then, an arrogant voice echoed through the room along with the sounds of a staff hitting the floor. The newcomer said fifth brother had ordered Yi Zhongming's death, and this bunch clearly was not up to the task. Dongzi grabbed Fa Shuying, pressed a hand against her head, and threatened to smash her skull if Yi Zhongming took one more step. The sight made Yi Zhongming immediately turn around. Dongzi grabbed Fa Shuying by the hair and smugly revealed that he had kept her alive on purpose to use as a hostage against Yi Zhongming. He coldly ordered Yi Zhongming to kneel at once. Even so, Ye Zhongming stood his ground and stared at him with icy eyes. Seeing that he refused to submit, Dongzi angrily shouted for him to kneel again. But at that exact moment, a brick suddenly flew in and smashed into Dongzi's head. The blow left Dongzi dazed, while Lily shouted that no one was allowed to touch her teacher. She did not care about anyone else, but Fa Shuying had always treated her kindly, so she had to protect her. After that sudden turn, all of Dongzi's men were subdued and tied up. Lily rushed over to untie Fa Shuying and burst into tears. Fa Shuying gently hugged her and thanked her for bravely saving her life. Just then, Liang Chuyin coldly accused Lily of being a traitor, while Mo Ye quietly realized that all the girls here seemed to know Ye Zhongming. Fa Shuying immediately defended Lily, saying she had just saved her life and had probably only pretended to side with the enemy while waiting for the right chance. Mo Ye also spoke up, saying Lily had simply endured everything while waiting to strike back. However, Liang Chuyin immediately argued back and questioned how Mo Ye could be so sure when she had not witnessed any of it herself. Not wanting the argument to continue, Ye Zhongming stepped in and reminded everyone that no matter what happened before, Lily had just saved Fa Shuying, so there was no point arguing anymore. Right after that, Liang Chuyin could not hold back her emotions and rushed into Ye Zhongming's arms, blaming him for disappearing for so long. He gently comforted her and told her everything was over now, so she should stop crying. Mo Ye simply folded her arms and shook her head, feeling that Liang Chuyin was still far too stubborn and proud. Meanwhile, Lily quietly watched every expression on Liang Chuyin's face. In the end, the five of them could only look at one another, as an awkward silence filled the room. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the mysterious three-color roulette began to change once again. Abian excitedly shouted, after realizing the glowing crystals really were connected to the strange roulette. Fifth brother crushed a crystal in his hand, and finally understood why that kid had suddenly become far stronger than an ordinary person. The blonde man excitedly pointed at the roulette and asked if the crystal could really be used to spin for rewards. In response, fifth brother punched him hard and yelled at him for asking such an obvious question. As the wheel slowly came to a stop, both of them held their breath. The moment the reward appeared, the blonde man jumped with excitement, convinced they had hit the jackpot. A reward card appeared with a message, congratulating the user on obtaining a new class. The new class was called Apprentice Alchemist. The system confirmed the class change was complete, but fifth brother exploded with rage. He cursed non-stop, saying he had spent so many crystals only to get an apprentice alchemist, which sounded just like a game class change with no obvious benefit. After venting his anger, he kicked the blonde man and ordered him to search the hideout, because there might still be something valuable left behind. The underling rubbed his sore backside and hurried to obey. Fifth brother gritted his teeth, heartbroken that more than 20 hard-earned crystals were now completely gone. He had no idea that he had inserted more crystals than necessary, and the roulette had quietly absorbed the extra without giving anything back. As a result, the next person only needed to add the exact number of crystals still required to qualify for a spin. While searching, the blonde man found a backpack and happily brought it over. Fifth brother immediately guessed it belonged to Yi Zhongming and believed it had to be filled with valuable items. But after opening the backpack, they found only ropes, snacks, canned food, and a first aid kit, all of which looked completely ordinary. Everything changed when they pulled out a bottle labeled Apprentice Enhancement Potion. Its description said it could greatly boost the user's physique, strength, and endurance to the level of a one-star warrior, but the unbearable pain could even kill anyone who failed to endure the side effects. After reading it, fifth brother burst into laughter, convinced he had just found a priceless treasure. The blonde man stared in confusion and asked how his boss knew exactly what the potion did. The question caught fifth brother off guard because it seemed he was the only one who could see the detailed description. He quickly guessed that his new alchemist class allowed him to identify every property of medicinal items. The bottle also displayed a warning that some users would die if they failed to survive the side effects. Ignoring the danger, fifth brother uncapped the bottle and drank it immediately. He believed Ye Zhongming had gained his strength from this very potion, and true power always required risking one's life. Seeing his boss about to finish the entire bottle, Abian hurriedly tried to stop him, worried that taking an unknown medicine would only bring disaster. The moment the potion entered his body, an enormous surge of energy exploded through every muscle and every cell. The overwhelming pain forced fifth brother to let out a horrifying scream. Abian rushed over in panic and kept asking what was happening to his boss. Seeing the situation grow worse, he turned and ran for the exit, shouting that he would find help. But a towering dark figure suddenly blocked the only way out, making Abian curse in fear as he had no idea what was happening. Abian froze in terror and stared at the creature, stammering as he wondered what it was. Standing before him was a gigantic monster with a horrifying half-human, half-mutated body. The bloodthirsty monster immediately charged at Abian, ready to tear him apart. Terrified beyond belief, he froze in place and could not even think about running. He simply closed his eyes and waited for death. But when he finally opened his eyes again, Abian was shocked to find himself completely unharmed. It turned out fifth brother had stepped in just in time and blocked the monster's attack by himself. Abian immediately asked if he was all right. Fifth brother only smiled confidently and declared that not only was he uninjured, but he had never felt so powerful before. Only then did he realize this was the true strength of a one-star warrior, the same power Ye Zhongming once possessed. Fifth brother decided to use this chance to test the limits of his new power. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to a spacious villa. Ye Zhongming led everyone to the front gate and announced that this would be their temporary shelter. He told everyone to rest and put down their bags while he went to look for Mo Sinfei. After taking everything from fifth brother's supply stash, the group felt this trip had exceeded all expectations. As soon as he entered the house, Ye Zhongming loudly called for Mo Sinfei, but no one answered. He quickly searched the second floor, yet the entire house remained strangely silent, making him increasingly suspicious. Just then, someone downstairs urgently called for him to come and see something. Liang Chuyin anxiously pointed toward the kitchen on the first floor, her voice filled with concern. Ye Zhongming immediately rushed downstairs and asked what had happened. His eyes quickly stopped on a note, neatly attached to the refrigerator door. It contained only a few words. A roulette appeared at the supermarket. After a moment of thought, Ye Zhongming guessed that Mo Sinfei had deliberately left the message for him. At the same time, elsewhere, the mutated zombie was finally defeated. Abian cheered excitedly because fifth brother had defeated the monster. Fifth brother laughed proudly as he looked at his blood-covered hand. He was certain that he now possessed far greater power than ever before. Abian immediately flattered him, saying they would never need to fear zombies again. Fifth brother only looked at him with cold contempt and asked a single question. In his eyes, zombies had become nothing more than prey to hunt. Abian eagerly agreed, and the two decided to go find Dongge. Not long afterward, they returned to the villa. Abian forced an awkward smile and guessed that Dongge simply had not returned yet. Otherwise, he would have come out to greet fifth brother already. But the moment they stepped inside, both of them froze in shock. People were tied up everywhere, and several others lay motionless across the floor, leaving Abian completely speechless. One of the underlings burst into tears of relief when fifth brother finally showed up. He immediately accused Ye Zhongming of killing Dongge and stealing every bit of their supplies. After hearing the report, fifth brother strode straight toward the door. His face turned dark as his anger reached its limit. Without hesitation, he yanked the door open with brute force. The moment he charged inside, fifth brother roared that he would personally kill Ye Zhongming this time. His terrifying grip even crushed and twisted the door, showing just how furious he was. At that moment, Ye Zhongming suddenly felt a chilling sensation run through his body. Noticing his strange reaction, Liang Chuyin asked if he was all right. Ye Zhongming replied that he was fine, but he had a very unsettling feeling. Mo Yi brought him a plate of food and told him to regain his strength before they set out again. Fa Shu Ying also handed him a cup of warm water so he could recover. Ye Zhongming said there was a high chance that Mo Sinfei was in trouble. Since she had left a clue about the roulette, their next destination would be the supermarket where it appeared. Hearing that, Liang Chuyin hesitantly asked if Mo Sinfei was his girlfriend. Ye Zhongming immediately denied it and explained that they were simply partners who worked well together. The answer instantly lifted Liang Chuyin's mood, and she asked to join the search. Deep down, she hoped she could finally help Ye Zhongming. Yi Zhongming agreed, but made it clear that she could only come if she did not interfere with the plan. Every teammate had to prove their value. As he observed the group, Ye Zhongming quietly evaluated each member. Liang Chuyin was quick and loyal, making her worth training. Mo Ye was an excellent fighter who stayed calm under pressure. Only Fa Shuying was someone whose role he had not fully decided yet. Fa Shuying volunteered to join the team, explaining that she was a school health teacher with first aid skills and could handle medical support. Yi Zhongming accepted, but reminded her that she had to learn to protect herself because he could not always be there. He then turned to Mo Ye and asked if she wanted to travel with them. Mo Yi calmly replied that the answer was obvious and told everyone it was time to leave. Yi Zhongming immediately ordered the team to move out. Before long, everyone had packed their belongings into backpacks and was ready to depart. Yi Zhongming calculated that the search for Mo Xin-fei and the roulette could take several days. Their current food supply would not last long, but carrying too much was impossible. Seeing him deep in thought, Mo Ye asked what was wrong. Ye Zhongming admitted they could only bring the essentials and leave the rest at the villa. Mo Ye immediately pointed out that leaving all their supplies behind was too risky and said she had a better solution. After thinking for a moment, Ye Zhongming nodded and agreed with her idea. Mo Yi then led him to a massive special-purpose vehicle. She explained that it belonged to the security force and that the director had gone through great effort to obtain it from higher authorities. Even Ye Zhongming could not hide his admiration. Mo Yi continued, explaining that it was a powerful military vehicle with heavy armor, four-wheel drive, a maximum payload of 33 tons, and a top speed of about 87 kilometers per hour. The only thing missing was a missile system. Yi Zhongming sincerely thanked her for the valuable gift, believing it would be a huge advantage on their journey. Mo Yi simply smiled brightly. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Fifth Brother and Abian also began making their move. As he followed behind, Abian asked if they were about to leave the school campus. Fifth Brother gritted his teeth and swore he would find the one who destroyed his base and make him pay. Abian then asked what they would do about the remaining underlings. Remembering what he had been told, Fifth Brother grew even angrier and decided that Dongzi's men had betrayed him, so he no longer cared whether they lived or died. Bound hand and foot, the captives could only cry and desperately beg for help. Fifth Brother tightened his grip on his knife and coldly declared that this world only needed one zombie hunter, and that man was him. The military vehicle carrying Yi Zhongming and the three girls sped down a road packed with zombies. Every zombie in its path was crushed without slowing the vehicle. Ye Zhongming remarked that traveling through zombie hordes was much safer with this machine, and Mo Ye smiled, saying a few zombies in front of the truck were nothing to worry about. Even as the zombie horde charged like mad, the armored vehicle plowed straight through without slowing down. Fa Shuying could not hide her admiration. She said they owed this incredible vehicle to Mo Yi, proving the security force was on a different level. Hearing that, Liang Chuyin glanced at Mo Ye and quietly felt unwilling to lose. She promised herself she would prove her own worth. Holding the note left by Mo Xin-fei, Ye Zhongming said it did not mention a specific location, so they had no choice but to search every supermarket one by one. Spotting one ahead, the group decided to check it first. Suddenly, Mo Ye pointed out the window and shouted for everyone to look. Seeing the scene outside, Yi Zhongming was stunned by the unusually massive zombie horde. Looking more carefully, Mo Ye realized the zombies were not chasing the vehicle. They were desperately fleeing from something else. Liang Chuyin followed her gaze and pointed into the distance in horror, where a gigantic creature was approaching. Chasing right behind the zombie horde was an enormous monster, moving at incredible speed. It was a mutated white ape. Within moments, it had almost caught up to the fleeing zombies. The ape reached out and grabbed one of the zombies running ahead. It immediately stuffed the zombie into its mouth and devoured it on the spot. Everyone was horrified to see the monster hunting zombies as food. Yi Zhongming instantly recognized it as a mutated white ape, a terrifying evolved beast famous for its overwhelming strength and savage nature. He quietly judged that with his current one-star warrior strength, defeating it would be extremely difficult. However, memories from his previous life also reminded him of the monster's fatal weakness. Just then, the white apes suddenly turned and charged straight toward their vehicle. Yi Zhongming immediately shouted for everyone to hold on because they had become its new target. As soon as he finished speaking, he sharply turned the wheel and tried to reverse away. But the vehicle slammed into a light pole and became stuck. Ye Zhongming gritted his teeth, knowing the situation had become extremely dangerous. Meanwhile, the white ape slowly approached, filling the air with overwhelming pressure. Without warning, it leaped high into the air and landed on top of the vehicle. A hammer-like punch crashed down, shaking the entire front of the truck. Liang Chuyin screamed as the windshield shattered, while Yi Zhongming kept his eyes locked on the monster. The white ape pressed its terrifying face against the window, as if studying its prey. Its razor-sharp claws slashed forward, but Ye Zhongming barely dodged the fatal strike. Frustrated at missing, the enraged beast began ripping the vehicle apart with brute force. Realizing staying trapped would only make things worse, Ye Zhongming ordered Mo Yi to drive away immediately, leaving her stunned. Without waiting for anyone to respond, he threw open the door. Then he rushed outside alone to lure the monster away from the others. The moment his feet touched the hood, he launched himself into the air. Ye Zhongming's powerful kick slammed directly into the white ape's face. But at that very moment, the monster's long tail suddenly wrapped tightly around his leg. Feeling the danger, Ye Zhongming instantly realized he was in serious trouble. The white ape whipped its tail, spinning him wildly through the air. Then it hurled Yi Zhongming headfirst into the ground with tremendous force. The vehicle also came to a stop near where he landed. Mo Ye anxiously shouted Yi Zhongming's name, but the only reply was his painful groans. After bringing Yi Zhongming down, the white ape calmly walked toward him, as if victory was already certain. It stopped beside its prey, only a single step away. The monster even wore a smug expression, as though mocking its defeated opponent. Then it threw back its head and let out a thunderous roar. It repeatedly pounded its own chest and stomach to display its overwhelming strength. The moment its display ended, the white ape charged in to deliver the finishing blow. But just then, a burst of gunfire suddenly forced it to stop. Its glowing red eyes immediately locked onto the shooter. The monster's new target was Mo Ye. It let out another furious roar. Mo Ye kept firing, but the white ape was far too fast and easily dodged every burst. After slipping through the gunfire, it instantly accelerated toward her. The monster reached out to grab Mo Ye, but she barely dodged by twisting aside at the last second. At the same time, the damaged vehicle was falling apart, leaving Fa Shuying terrified inside. Liang Chuyin realized in horror that the white ape had switched its target to Mo Ye. Mo Ye seized the chance and fired another shot straight into the monster's abdomen. The white ape let out a furious roar as the bullet struck. Then it reached out once again to grab Mo Ye. Even after being thrown aside, Mo Ye realized the monster had completely lost control. The white ape breathed heavily as its rage kept growing. Its deafening roars echoed across the entire area. Then it bent down and lifted the entire truck off the ground. Liang Chuyin and Fa Shuying panicked as the vehicle was about to flip over. During the chaos, Fa Shuying was thrown out of the truck. The white ape immediately reached out to catch her. Its massive hand closed in within seconds. Its razor-sharp claws suddenly ripped across Fa Shuying's back. Her clothes were torn apart, and blood poured from the deep wound as she cried out in pain. After injuring Fa Shuying, the monster's savage eyes shifted toward Liang Chuyin. Terrified, she could only tremble and beg it to stop. At that critical moment, the white ape suddenly heard a strange noise. It was Ye Zhongming, deliberately making as much noise as possible to draw its attention. The plan worked, as the monster turned toward him. At the same time, Di Huangwan charged straight at the white ape. The monster immediately turned to face the dog. With a single swing of its arm, it sent Di Huangwan flying. The heavy blow made the loyal dog cry out in pain. Even so, Di Huangwan refused to give up and charged back in to bite the monster. It kept circling around, forcing the white ape to split its attention. Ye Zhongming instantly seized the rare opportunity. He shouted for Mo Ye to throw him the gun. Without hesitation, Mo Ye tossed the weapon toward him. Yi Zhongming caught it cleanly in midair. He immediately activated crafting, then combined it with homogeneous enhancement to reinforce the weapon. The gun gained 20% more armor penetration and 20% greater stability. The white ape continued roaring in blind fury. It raised both arms to block Di Huangwan's attack. Just as the dog was about to sink its teeth into the monster's arm, the white ape answered with a devastating backhand. Di Huangwan was sent flying far into the distance. The monster then turned to face Ye Zhongming. Right then, Ye Zhongming loudly taunted the beast, making it stop and focus entirely on him and the gun in his hands. He quickly lined up the monster's weak point. Without another second of hesitation, Ye Zhongming pulled the trigger and fired directly into the white ape's back. The monster's eyes immediately went blank. A few seconds later, its enormous body crashed onto the road. Yi Zhongming explained that the white ape's overdeveloped muscles had exposed part of its spine, making it the monster's fatal weak spot. He was also relieved that he had reinforced the gun beforehand. Otherwise, even knowing the weak point would not have been enough to pierce the monster's defenses. It also reminded him to make full use of every ability in his skill system. The 5 major skills he currently possessed were collection, homogeneous enhancement, crafting, enchantment, and socketing. Thinking about the potential of those skills filled Yi Zhongming with anticipation. Just then, Fa Shuying cried out in pain from inside the truck. Liang Chuyin immediately treated her wound, carefully disinfecting it while gently reassuring her that the cut was deep and would hurt, but she only needed to endure it a little longer. Sweat poured down Fa Shuying's face from the pain, yet she gritted her teeth and quietly said she was all right. Hearing the painful cry, Ye Zhongming immediately opened the truck door and hurriedly asked what had happened. The moment she saw him, Fa Shuying blushed bright red and quickly covered the exposed part of her body. Embarrassed, she shouted for Yi Zhongming to get out immediately. Realizing the situation, he awkwardly slammed the door shut and quickly apologized. Mo Yi walked over and asked about Fa Shuying's condition. Yi Zhongming replied that her wound was being treated. The slash was deep, but it was not life-threatening. He then quietly walked to the back of the truck. Even after surviving countless life-or-death battles, what had just happened still weighed heavily on his mind. He gently sat beside Di Huangwan and softly thanked the loyal dog for risking its life in the fight. As he stroked the dog's head, he examined its injuries and sighed with relief after confirming they were not too severe, though they would affect its mobility for a while. Yi Zhongming silently thought that wounds caused by mutated creatures healed very slowly, so he needed to find the right medicine as soon as possible. Filled with guilt, he quietly vowed that he would completely heal Di Huangwan no matter what. Just then, loud caws filled the air. A flock of black crows swooped down and began tearing apart the mutated white ape's corpse. Liang Chuyin stepped out of the truck in a panic and reported that Fa Shuying's wound was too deep and still would not stop bleeding. Mo Ye explained that the wound needed stitches, but they had no proper medical tools or anesthetic. Ye Zhongming said he could craft the tools with his crafting skill, but he had no way to make anesthetic. He recalled stitching his own wounds without anesthetic in his previous life, and the pain had been so unbearable that most people would never endure it. After thinking it over, he decided to head to a nearby private hospital. Besides finding anesthetic for Fa Shuying, they might also find supplies to treat Di Huangwan. Liang Chuyin immediately asked about the supermarket and Mo Xinfei. Yi Zhongming simply smiled with confidence. He believed Mo Xinfei was smart and calm enough to protect herself, so there was no need to worry yet. Deep down, he also knew that Mo Xinfei would become one of the strongest survivors in the future, making it even harder to believe she would die here. Mo Ye suggested splitting up. She would investigate the supermarket alone to search for Mo Xinfei and the roulette, while Ye Zhongming took Fa Shuying to find medicine. She also promised not to take unnecessary risks. Yi Zhongming immediately objected, because countless dangerous mutated creatures were still roaming outside. Mo Yi remained confident and said she was a professionally trained security officer whose combat ability had already been proven, so she hoped he would trust her. Ye Zhongming stayed silent for a long moment as he considered her proposal. Mo Ye gave a firm thumbs up and declared that once she accepted a mission, she always completed it. In the end, Ye Zhongming agreed, but reminded her to be extremely careful. He emphasized that roulettes always attracted zombie hordes, so the surrounding area would certainly be dangerous. Mo Yi nodded and promised to remember. As he left, Ye Zhongming could not help remembering how his teammates had betrayed him in his previous life, and he silently hoped history would not repeat itself. Elsewhere, the rattling sound of a bicycle chain echoed down the road. Abiyan was exhausted, but kept pedaling while gasping for breath. Fifth brother sat comfortably on the back seat, grabbed Abiyan by the head, and kept urging him to pedal faster. Abiyan timidly asked where they were actually going. The bicycle sped down the road, as fifth brother wore a smug grin. He believed his judgment was correct, and that Ye Zhongming was searching somewhere nearby. With a sinister smile, he declared that someone like Ye Zhongming would eventually head to places like that. Lowering his voice, fifth brother confidently announced that he had already figured out the kid's next destination. Still struggling to pedal, Abiyan panted and asked again where they were headed. Fifth brother confidently explained that after stealing all his supplies, the group could not survive for long. If they wanted to keep living, they would have to visit a supermarket for more supplies. A supermarket packed with every essential item immediately came to his mind. Bian admired his reasoning, while fifth brother pointed ahead and urged him to pedal faster because the biggest supermarket in the area was just up ahead, and he was sure they would not skip it. Before long, the two arrived at the entrance of the massive supermarket. Bian cautiously stayed close behind, worried that the place was full of zombies. Fifth brother proudly declared that zombies should fear him, not the other way around. After looking around, Bian was disappointed to find every shelf completely empty, while fifth brother cursed in frustration because the place had been stripped clean. Just then, a pack of instant noodles suddenly fell from above. The unexpected sight left Bian staring in shock. Thinking there might still be food left, both of them immediately looked up toward where the noodles had fallen. The moment they looked up, their faces turned pale as they spotted a zombie sitting high above them. The creature let out a deep and chilling growl. Then it leaped to the floor, forcing both men to stumble backward and keep their distance. It stood up, turned around, and quietly observed the two uninvited visitors. Strangely, it did not attack. Instead, it calmly turned its back and walked away. Bian asked in confusion why the zombie had ignored them, while fifth brother watched it leave and guessed that it seemed to be searching for something as well. With that thought in mind, fifth brother decided to follow the zombie and find out what was really going on. After walking a while, he suddenly froze when horrifying sounds echoed from ahead. Wu Ge's face instantly filled with shock. A massive horde of zombies had gathered in one place right in front of them. The terrifying sight left both of them stunned. Deafening roars erupted as every zombie opened its gruesome mouth. Bian was so scared he nearly cried and kept begging Wu Ge to run because they had stumbled into a zombie nest. Unlike his teammate, Wu Ge burst into laughter and claimed they had hit the jackpot instead of bad luck. Just then, rapid footsteps echoed from outside the area. Mo Ye gripped her rifle and moved forward, using her knowledge of the route from her days as a security guard. She quickly hid behind a wall and planned to enter the supermarket from the right to scout the situation. Outside the supermarket, everything lay in ruins after the disaster. Mo Ye immediately began searching for any useful supplies. In a dark corner lay the corpse of a dead zombie, covered with buzzing flies. At the same time, in another supermarket, someone else was also searching for essential supplies. She leaned against a shelf and carefully looked around. After checking every corner, she still could not find the roulette. Remembering Ye Zhongming's warning that it always attracted zombies, and seeing none here, she concluded the roulette was not in this supermarket. After thinking it over, she decided the only place left was Kuehua Supermarket, the biggest shopping center in the area. The truck sped down the road, while she kept worrying about Ye Zhongming's situation. Liang Chuyan anxiously reported that Miss Park was in critical condition and had just passed out. Ye Zhongming could only reassure everyone that they were almost there. The brakes screeched, and the moment the truck stopped, he jumped out and told everyone to stay put until he returned. Then he sprinted straight inside. Miss Park let out a painful groan, making Liang Chuyan even more anxious. She quickly checked the wound by pressing on the bandages. The moment she saw her hand covered in blood, she realized the bleeding had never stopped. Liang Chuyan immediately shouted for help and urged Ye Zhongming to come back before Miss Park ran out of time. Inside the building, Ye Zhongming rushed toward the pharmacy and operating room, certain the medical supplies were there. Just then, a shadow suddenly appeared ahead, too blurry to identify. Without warning, a massive tail whipped out from the darkness. Thick dust exploded into the air and covered the entire area. Looking closer, he realized it was the tail of a giant crocodile. The enormous creature slowly revealed itself, and Ye Zhongming instantly knew he had encountered another mutated monster. The giant crocodile stood still with its icy eyes locked on him. He silently cursed his luck for running into such a dangerous enemy at the worst possible time. It was completely different from the mutated creatures he had fought before. This crocodile was far more dangerous. Humanity later learned that these creatures were not native to Earth, but alien life forms that appeared after the apocalypse. They were known as guardian beasts, and wherever they stayed usually hid valuable rewards or rare supplies. Thinking that through, he quietly backed behind a wall and guessed the creature was most likely a level 2 guardian beast. After judging his current strength, he knew a direct fight was almost impossible, so his only hope was the special abilities he possessed. Without wasting another second, he turned around and ran outside. Seeing him return, Liang Chuyin quickly asked if he had found the medicine. But Ye Zhongming did not stop to answer and kept running. He opened the truck and searched through everything's inside. A few seconds later, he smiled after finally finding what he needed. Liang Chuyin was surprised to see him pulling out weapons. When she asked if there was a monster inside, he confirmed it and told her to stay with Miss Park while he handled it. Next, he entered a nearby store, hoping to gather the remaining items for his plan. When he came back out, he was carrying a box packed with tools. Watching all this, Liang Chuyin became even more confused about what Ye Zhongming was planning. He laid everything on the ground, satisfied that he had gathered all the materials. Even if he could not defeat a level 2 guardian beast head-on, these tools could still hold it back. Ye Zhongming immediately activated his skill and reinforced the crossbow and bolts to maximize their piercing power while carefully avoiding wasted materials. As he worked, he recalled that his crafting skill was still at the beginner level. The best reinforcement required matching primary materials with the right supporting materials. Just like the enhanced bullet before, combining two into one had greatly increased its power. Ye Zhongming assembled every part with his special skill. It could reshape materials while greatly increasing their hardness and durability, almost like magic. Before long, a brand new bow was complete, and the weapon enhancement was finished. He did not stop there, and immediately started making a large metal net. His mind drifted back to an inlay technique he had learned in his previous life. He carefully recalled the process. The essence of the technique was fusing two different materials while preserving the strengths of both. Holding the materials, he decided to combine steel wire with a green protective net, hoping the final product could restrain the savage crocodile. Once everything was ready, he quietly returned inside, hid behind a wall, and waited for the perfect moment. When the chance arrived, Ye Zhongming rushed out and aimed his bow at the target. Everything depended on this attack. 3 arrows shot through the air at the same time. The metal net followed behind the arrows and flew straight toward the crocodile. The first arrow struck beside its mouth, and the second pinned the ground near its front leg. The final arrow pierced through its tail and locked the net firmly in place. Suddenly trapped, the crocodile let out a furious roar. Ye Zhongming wasted no time and sprinted toward his real objective. He rushed into the pharmacy, grabbed the medicine and medical supplies he needed, and prepared to leave. A loud crash echoed as he forced the door open. Seeing bandages, needles, syringes, sutures, anesthetics, and painkillers, he finally breathed a sigh of relief because it was enough to perform the operation. As the monster struggled, one of the reinforced arrows was bent by its immense strength. Its massive tail whipped around wildly in a fit of rage. After only a few violent struggles, it tore the entire net off its body. Its razor-sharp claws ripped apart the remaining strands of the net. Its furious roar echoed everywhere, showing that its anger had reached its limit. Gathering all its strength, the monster launched itself forward with terrifying force. Then it quietly crept behind Ye Zhongming. At the same time zombies kept collapsing one after another with heavy thuds. Seeing the scene, Wu Gi broke into an excited grin. He turned to Abian with a smug smile and declared that he had been right from the start. Meanwhile, Abian trembled on the ground, surrounded by piles of zombie corpses. Wu Ji reached out and yanked away the cloth covering the front. The cover flew aside in a single motion. Hidden underneath was a brand new roulette. He immediately kicked Abian and ordered him to collect every crystal from the zombie corpses. Abian could only grimace and silently obey. While examining the roulette, Wu Gei noticed it was completely different from the 3-colored one he had seen before because its surface was covered with strange symbols and patterns. Just then, Abian timidly brought over the collected crystals. After counting the loot, Wu Gei found only 9 crystals in total, including those taken from the zombies they had killed along the way. He instantly became furious because activating the roulette required exactly 10 crystals, and they were still 1 short. Wu Gei cursed loudly. Abian quickly explained that the roulette would naturally attract zombies, so they only had to wait a little longer to get the final crystal. That only made Wu Ji angrier. He took out his frustration on Abian and smacked him hard on the head, making him cry out in pain. Just then, rapid footsteps suddenly echoed from outside. Mo Ye finally arrived at Kuihua supermarket and confirmed she had found the right place. The moment she arrived, she frowned because the area was unnaturally quiet, as if someone had already wiped out every zombie nearby. She carefully stepped inside, but the farther she went, the more she felt that something was wrong. Outside, the silence remained strangely unsettling. But from the pharmacy came the furious roar of the enraged crocodile. Hearing the violent noise from deep inside, Liang Chuyin wondered what had happened. She stared toward the sound with growing unease. She carefully wrapped Miss Park in a warm blanket and worried that Ye Zhongming was in serious danger. After thinking it over, Liang Chuyin guessed he had been trapped by monsters or zombies. She finally opened the truck door and stepped out, refusing to wait any longer. Her hurried footsteps echoed as she rushed inside. She could only hope that Yi Zhongming was still safe. At that moment, the crocodile kept slashing the door with its massive claws. The relentless attacks quickly tore the door apart. Watching the scene, she was horrified because she had never seen such a terrifying creature. Yi Zhongming held the medicine tightly and admitted to himself that a level 2 guardian beast was truly difficult to handle. It had already broken free from the trap, and now he was trapped inside. Hiding behind a wall, Liang Chuyin realized the monster was blocking the pharmacy exit and preventing Yi Zhongming from escaping. She forced herself to stay calm and searched for a way to distract it. Just then, her eyes landed on something nearby. In an instant, she understood everything. The crocodile's attention was fixed on the eggs it had been desperately protecting. A loud explosion rang out as the giant tail shattered the glass door. Yi Zhongming remained crouched in the corner with the medicine, regretting that his beginner-level tools could not restrain the monster any longer. Watching its violent reaction, he became even more certain it was guarding something extremely important. Just then, something completely unexpected happened. The person who appeared before him was Liang Chuyin. Yi Zhongming was both worried and angry, unable to understand why she had recklessly come inside and made the situation even more dangerous. Bricks and concrete exploded under the monster's destructive power. He quickly looked back and silently cursed as the situation grew even worse. The crocodile locked onto its target and slowly closed the distance. With one powerful leap, it landed on the wall ahead. Liang Chuyin took a deep breath and told herself to stay calm and think of a solution. She was determined to save Yi Zhongming. He had always protected her, and now it was finally her turn to protect him. Without hesitation, she charged toward the pile of eggs, ready to risk everything. She shouted loudly to grab the monster's attention. Hearing the noise, the crocodile immediately turned toward her. Without hesitation, it charged at full speed. From his hiding place, Yi Zhongming could only panic as he thought she was throwing her life away. He gripped the windowsill tightly. Then he immediately jumped outside. As he ran, he shouted for Liang Chuyin to run. His voice echoed throughout the area. The crocodile kept charging without slowing down. At that moment, Liang Chuyin threw all the eggs in different directions with all her strength. The eggs rolled everywhere, causing the monster to freeze in surprise. It hesitated, unable to decide which egg to chase first. In the end, its instinct to protect the eggs forced it to change direction. In the blink of an eye, it stopped one of the rolling eggs with its foot. Seeing that, Yi Zhongming immediately realized Liang Chuyin was exploiting its protective instinct to distract it. Taking advantage of the precious opportunity, she turned and ran as fast as she could. But before she got far, she tripped over a rock and crashed to the ground with a painful cry. At the most dangerous moment, Yi Zhongming grabbed Liang Chuyin's hand and pulled her to safety. Even though he was deeply worried, he could not stop himself from scolding her for being so reckless. Liang Chuyin simply whispered his name. Without saying anything else, he grabbed her hand and pulled her away, urging her to leave immediately. The two of them quickly escaped from the pharmacy. As they ran, Liang Chuyin looked back in surprise when the crocodile did not chase them. Yi Zhongming explained that it would never leave its nest for long, so they had escaped for now. Only then did Liang Chuyin finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the next moment, Yi Zhongming grabbed her tightly and scolded her loudly. He was furious because she had nearly sacrificed her life. His grip hurt her shoulder, and Liang Chuyin let out a soft cry. Still angry, he reminded her that she had almost died. She lowered her head and quietly admitted that she had been so worried about him that she never had time to think. Hearing that, Yi Zhongming fell silent, unable to keep scolding her. In the end, he let go and gently told her never to risk her life to save him again. Liang Chuin's eyes turned red as she softly apologized. Yi Zhongming's voice also softened, and he sincerely thanked her for what she had done. As night fell, the area outside the supermarket was packed with wandering zombies. Meanwhile, inside the roulette area, zombie corpses covered the ground. Mo Ye carefully observed the scene, alarmed by the unusually large number of dead zombies. Just then, Wu Ge slowly stepped out from behind the roulette, his mind instantly filled with dirty thoughts when he saw a beautiful woman. He looked at Mo Ye's uniform, grinned wickedly, and made vulgar remarks after realizing she had once been a police officer. Mo Yi immediately took a fighting stance and coldly replied that he would never get what he wanted. Elsewhere, Miss Park let out a soft groan as the pain continued. Long rows of stitches stretched across her back. Once the anesthesia wore off, the pain would only become worse. She sadly wondered if those scars would stay with her forever. Yi Zhongming looked away and calmly said that surviving was already a blessing. Her wounds had been treated, and now she only needed to rest. She quietly thanked him. Liang Chuyin walked over to check on her. Yi Zhongming replied that the operation had been successful, and with enough rest, Miss Park would recover. Just then, Liang Chuyin's stomach suddenly growled with hunger. She scratched her head in embarrassment after realizing she had not eaten for a long time. Seeing that, Yi Zhongming told her to eat something first, and then they would regroup with Mo Ye. Back at Kuihua Supermarket, sharp gusts cut through the air as a barrage of 5 powerful punches erupted. Wu Ge unleashed a relentless flurry of blows, forcing Mo Ye onto the defensive. With his massive build, every punch carried terrifying power and showed no mercy. One heavy punch finally landed squarely on Mo Ye. The impact sent her flying several meters away. The moment she landed, she planted a hand on the ground to steady herself. Without hesitation, Mo Ye flipped gracefully and launched a counterattack with a powerful kick. But Wu Ji easily caught the kick with one hand. He brushed off his shoulder and looked at her with amusement, admitting she had some skill. Wearing a sinister smile, he raised his fist in provocation, clearly enjoying the fight. Moments later, Mo Ye was struck by another devastating punch that made her wince in pain. Wu Gi laughed like a madman and prepared to overwhelm her again. At that moment, Mo Ye gathered all her strength and slammed a powerful strike into his arm. The counterattack caught Wu Ji by surprise, leaving him wondering what strange martial art she had used. Without giving him time to recover, Mo Ye followed up with another attack aimed directly at his face. Forced back again and again, Wu Ge finally began to lose his temper, and his face darkened. Even so, he sneered with contempt and claimed her attack felt no worse than a mosquito bite. He even waved her over, mocking her to use everything she had. Mo Yi could not hide her surprise. As far as she could tell, he showed no signs of mutation, yet his durability was terrifying. Seeing her take a proper martial arts stance, Wu Ge burst into laughter, realizing she was a trained fighter and becoming even more excited. Completely unfazed, Mo Ye gathered all her strength and charged straight at him. But the instant her punch arrived, Wu Ge casually raised his huge hand and blocked it with ease. The sight left Mo Ye completely stunned. He kept his sly smile, offered fake praise, and continued provoking her to attack again. Mo Ye instantly spun around and fired a lightning-fast roundhouse kick at his head. Wu Ge only laughed wildly, saying the harder she fought back, the more excited he became. From the shadows, a Bian watched the entire fight and admitted that Mo Ye was incredibly strong. Even after Wu Ge used an enhancement drug, neither side had gained the upper hand. His gaze shifted back to the roulette, and frustration filled his heart because someone had appeared to ruin everything, just as victory was within reach. Thinking that, Abiyan decided he had to help Wu Jie as soon as possible. As long as they activated the roulette and claimed its rare reward, he believed he could become one of the strongest survivors in the apocalypse. A sinister smile spread across his face as he realized the perfect opportunity had arrived. Without any warning, Abiyan suddenly rushed in from behind and stabbed Mo Ye. Realizing she had been ambushed, she angrily cursed the two men. The instant she was distracted, Wu Ge seized the chance and threw a devastating punch. The blow sent Mo Ye flying, and her back slammed into a shelf. The intense pain knocked her to the ground. She burned with anger and frustration because they were shamelessly ganging up on her. She looked up, her eyes still filled with defiance. But Wu Ge turned and yelled at Abiyan, blaming him for interfering, because he claimed he could have defeated Mo Ye alone. Then he charged forward and drove another punch toward her face, boasting that after taking the enhancement drug, he could handle dozens of police officers by himself. Mo Yi immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Wu Ge grabbed her by the collar, lifted her into the air, and kept mocking her. He sneered that the so-called police protecting justice had become nothing but a joke. Even covered in injuries, Mo Ye stared back without a hint of surrender. Wu Ji raised his fist again and arrogantly declared that true justice belonged to the strongest. Just as the punch was about to land, a mysterious smile appeared on Mo Ye's lips. Right behind Wu Ge, Ye Zhongming charged in at incredible speed. A sudden strike slammed into Wu Jie before he could do anything but cry out. He was blasted backward and stared in disbelief at the newcomer. Yi Zhongming stood in front of Mo Ye, his cold eyes locked on his opponent. Even after taking the hit, Wu Ge remained calm and casually slipped his hands into his pockets. Recognizing Yi Zhongming, he gave a cold laugh and said he had been looking for him anyway. Yi Zhongming glanced at him indifferently and replied that he had no idea who he was. The answer left Wu Ge speechless with rage. Behind him, Mo Ye softly called his name. She looked at Ye Zhongming and said she could still hold on. Zhongming turned toward Wu Jie and declared that he was the one who had stolen all their supplies while pretending to be innocent. Wu Ge lifted his chin and loudly prepared to introduce himself. But before he could finish, Zhongming rushed in and cut him off, declaring that he did not care who Wu Ge was. Anyone who harmed his people would pay the price. Thanks to his quick reflexes, Wu Ge barely dodged the attack. Gritting his teeth, he immediately launched a counterattack. But Zhongming was just as fast and blocked it with ease. After several exchanges, Zhongming quickly realized his opponent's strength and speed were almost equal to his own. That meant Wu Ge had most likely taken the enhancement drug and become a one-star warrior. Refusing to fall behind, Wu Ge threw another punch with his free hand, while smugly admitting that Zhongming had some skill. But the careless attack was calmly avoided with a simple sidestep. Seizing the opening, Zhongming locked Wu Ge's arm and drove a vicious kick into his body. The crushing pain forced Wu Ge to groan as blood spilled from his mouth. His entire body trembled with pain and rage as he kept cursing. Zhongming coldly mocked him, saying that a little enhancement drug was nowhere near enough to challenge him. His pride wounded, Wu Ge roared and charged in like a madman. Facing the relentless assault, Zhongming remained perfectly calm and dodged every attack with clean movements. Then he landed a precise punch to Wu Ge's lower back and sarcastically remarked that this one probably reached his kidneys. Wu Ge clenched his teeth as his body convulsed from the pain. Even though he threw punch after punch in blind fury, he could not touch Zhongming and only screamed louder that he would kill him. While backing away to keep his distance, Zhongming judged that although they were both one-star warriors with similar physical abilities, the real difference lay elsewhere. He spun around, trapped Wu Ge's elbow, and completely immobilized his arm. Keeping the hold in place, he poured all his strength into his next punch. At the moment he struck, he declared that what truly gave him the advantage was not raw strength, but 10 years of life and death experience in the apocalypse. Hearing that, Wu Ge's face turned pale with terror. The punch crashed down like a sledgehammer, twisting Wu Ge's face as blood sprayed everywhere. After stumbling backward a few steps, Wu Ge finally collapsed onto the floor. Standing nearby, Bian was frozen with fear as he shouted Wu Ge's name and watched him cough violently on the ground. Struggling to lift his head, Wu Ge asked in a trembling voice who Zhongming really was. In total panic, he guessed that Zhongming was either a retired Special Forces soldier or a professional assassin, then repeatedly begged for mercy and admitted he had made a terrible mistake. As he spoke, he kept banging his head on the ground and begged Zhongming to spare his life. But while pretending to repent, he secretly pulled out a sharp dagger and promised absolute loyalty if his life was spared. The moment Zhongming turned around, Wu Ge tightened his grip on the dagger, kept begging for mercy, then suddenly sprang up. Still thanking him out loud, he lunged forward to stab Zhongming in the back. The blade flashed with a cold gleam as it aimed straight for Zhongming's back. But Zhongming caught his wrist in time and slammed him to the ground. A loud crack echoed as the arm holding the dagger snapped. Wu Ji immediately let out a miserable scream and clutched his broken arm. Zhongming followed with a powerful kick to his stomach and coldly said he had met countless people like him. Wu Ge curled up on the floor. Zhongming gave him a brief glance and judged that despite all his schemes, he was not much of a threat. In despair, Wu Ge desperately called for Bian to save him. Bian rushed over at once, and Wu Ge urged him to help him stand so they could leave immediately. Leaning almost all his weight on Bian's shoulder, Wu Ji repeatedly thanked him. Bian sincerely encouraged him and hoped he would recover soon. Watching the two leave, Mo Ye asked Zhongming why he had let them go so easily. He simply shook his head and said it was not that simple. A faint smile appeared on his lips as he said those so-called brothers would eventually betray each other. Knowing Wu Ge's nature, he already knew how it would end without lifting another finger. By then, the sunset had slowly covered the sky. Zhongming quietly watched the two figures until they disappeared from sight. Then he turned to check on Mo Ye. She replied that they were only minor injuries, and she would recover after some rest. Hearing that, he smiled and said she was lucky. Nothing had been broken. Mo Yi smiled back and joked that a security officer was not that fragile. Zhongming pushed himself to his feet and slowly looked around the area. He walked over to the roulette, the very item Mo Xinfei had mentioned before. Outside, Wu Ge and Bian were still struggling as they helped each other along. Wu Ge forced a smile and said that only hardship revealed true brothers, promising they would share both fortune and suffering in the future. Bian replied that seeing Wu Ge recover was all that mattered to him. But thinking about his current state, Wu Ge's face darkened. He cursed bitterly that he had ended up like this while his enemies were safe, and even the roulette had fallen into their hands. A Bian nodded in agreement. Even so, Wu Ge acted tough and declared that after a few days of recovery, he would come back and make them repay everything with interest. A Bian eagerly agreed. But suddenly, a Bian stopped walking. His voice turned cold as he said there were a few things they needed to settle. All the resentment he had buried for years finally exploded. A Bian mocked Wu Ge's talk about sharing fortune and hardship, reminding him that they had followed him from their days on the streets through the apocalypse. Yet they had never received any real benefits. Wu Ge froze in disbelief. A Bian continued questioning why every good thing always belonged to Wu Ji, while everyone else only got the leftovers. Gritting his teeth, he said he was done living as someone else's pawn. The sudden rebellion truly frightened Wu Ge, who quickly begged a Bian to calm down. But a Bian had completely changed. He twisted Wu Ge's arm behind his back and coldly said that now Wu Ge was crippled, so the crystals would be much safer with him. With that, a Bian snatched the bag of crystals and walked away, saying he would keep them safe while Wu Ge stayed behind to recover. Just then, Wu Ge turned around and froze when he saw a horde of zombies approaching. Deafening roars filled the air as the entire horde charged straight at him. In complete despair, Wu Ge could only reach toward A Bian's back as he walked away without even looking back. Standing beside the truck, Liang Chuyin suddenly heard agonizing screams, echoing from afar. She immediately knew they did not belong to Ye Zhongming's group. A short while later, she saw two people slowly walking out of the supermarket. Seeing Ye Zhongming carrying Mo Yi in his arms, Liang Chuyin hurried over and asked what had happened. He calmly replied that Mo Yi was injured, and they needed to find a safe place for the night. Remembering the two men who had left the supermarket earlier, Liang Chuyin asked if they were responsible. After hearing the answer, she angrily gripped the steering wheel and regretted not driving straight into those two earlier. Not long afterward, the group found an abandoned house to spend the night. Ye Zhongming and Liang Chuyin sat beside the fire, warming themselves through the night. While eating rations, Liang Chuyin asked if they should hide the roulette to keep it away from dangerous people. Ye Zhongming shook his head and explained that the roulette could not be moved. Once its location was discovered, it would become the center of a brutal battle. As he chewed his food, he added that they had already finished using the roulette, and almost all the valuable rewards had already been claimed. Spread out before them were all the supplies and equipment they had collected. Ye Zhongming felt quite satisfied. Thanks to someone else doing the hard work of gathering crystals, the biggest rewards had still ended up in his hands. Liang Chuyin picked up a necklace and admired its delicate craftsmanship. She put it on and smiled, saying it looked beautiful. Ye Zhongming explained that it was not ordinary jewelry but an extremely important item. She gave an awkward smile and replied that even if it were real jewelry, no one would feel like wearing it these days. After saying that, Liang Chuyin quietly lowered her head with a troubled expression. The group looked up at the night sky through the window.
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.